3 Points of Articulation podcast. Welcome to the 3 Points of Articulation podcast. Back again, episode 2, series 2, season 2. And we're looking at Wrestlemania on the road as we are in this time of the year. So I am your host, the big tasty Jamie Wills, and we're joined as per usual by Johnny Flashback.
Hey, yo.
And Adam, the wrestling man.
Howdy, howdy, howdy.
I always thought that I should do a bigger entrance for you guys. I don't really... Should have some stats down for you based on the last... Should go full X Factor voice. Johnny Flashback! Could go on that, couldn't I?
Do we deserve a big intro or not?
Let's let the viewers decide if you need a bigger intro. But it always feels a bit flat, isn't it? Just here's your names and let's just carry on. So from now on, what I'll do from the next episode is I'll just reel off some fun facts. I'll reel off some nicknames. I'll even speak in German if needs be, like my ancestors. So lovely. We are on the road to WrestleMania. So WrestleMania 7 we covered this time. We looked at the Rumble a few episodes back in the previous season of 91. And people seem to like it, so we figured that why not? Let's crack on with WrestleMania 7. We're all ready and we're all ready to go. So let's break it down, and we'll be back in a second with some news. News World Order time now, and we're looking back at the tidbits of news that we've had since the last episode of the podcast. I'll start off this week because we've been speaking about different figure brands and different things, and I think the biggest one that we've spoken about are micro brawlers that we've discussed in the past. The Rhino one's been released for Impact, so they released it on their website. I didn't see any pre-warning about it. It looked like it was a sort of a sudden drop, and there's been a couple since on there for a sudden drop. Eddie Edwards had a signed one on there. What do you guys think about? We've spoken before about different marketing strategies, and what do you think about this one? John, I'll start with you.
Well, it's nothing new from Pro Wrestling Tees where they just kind of drop things. But I believe the Rhino was advertised before time that was coming. That's correct, right?
Yes, I didn't see it, so it's a surprise to me, but others have been. I didn't see it pre-advertised, basically.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot coming. I just remember you guys had sprung some news that some TNA guys are coming. I just wondered if Rhino was amongst them or whether it's just completely out of the blue, is it?
I don't think he was. He? No, he was. He was. Because I remember we discussed about having previous ones on there, but there wasn't like a time and a date announced for it. It was just here's a series of figures.
Right.
So
I guess if you want it, you'll look out for it. If it's one that's on your hit list, but it's still a very strange thing to do if there's barely been any kind of here's the time that it's coming out. Strange.
Yeah.
I'm pleased they're not collecting these because that would probably drive me a bit mental.
Yeah, especially if you're at work and you come out and you've realised that you've missed the one that you've been looking for. It would sort of drive you a bit. So I think the Eddie Edwards one, I think, was also signed. They had on... Because they're on the Shop Impact website, basically, where they dropped them. So you literally just get a thing saying, oh, this is now available. You click on it, and if you click on it after it's been sold out, it just takes you to a nothing web page. So imagine the frustration that you would feel if you're a big Rhino fan.
Oh, never mind.
Johnny, let's go over to you. What have you got news-wise?
Let's go to Cella. Cella Toys have released that they're going to have Hayabusa in the line. Don't really know much about this guy. He's going to come in red pants, gold trim with a red mask. The only exposure I've ever had to him is that a character from WCW NWO Revenge was based on him. I believe it was called Hanzamon in that game. He had some amazing moves, a cracking moveset, and really fun to play with. So, not a guy I'm familiar with, but I'm sure he's quite athletic, being a masked dude.
Yeah, I know very little about him as well. I know what he looks like, and the look is definitely a toyetic look. It's very Mortal Kombat-y, the look that he's got. It's from that kind of era. So yeah, it could turn out brilliant. Probably not one that I'm going to pick up though, seeing as I don't really know anything about him.
I didn't realise it was based on the Hanzamon from the Revenge game. I played that all the time. Even notice it's on there.
I might be confused with another one, but I do think it was Hanzamon, or at least there was some boy on the game that was based on Hayabusa character.
I used to use Glacier. I was the only one who used to use Glacier.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I said I didn't really watch it back in the day, so I thought Glacier was a top guy. I thought it was top of the card with a super kick. Yeah, that's not figure-related news, is it? It's me talking about computer games. I've never really seen any of his work. I've never heard of him. I've had tidbits of him, but nothing massive. But I think it must have a big market for them to release this as their fifth figure.
Around about that time, yeah. So yeah, I'm on the fence about getting it because I do have that nostalgia based on the Revenge game, but otherwise I'm unfamiliar, so I could go either way.
Worth a punt.
Yeah, maybe.
Have a hands-on custom. Yeah. Adam, let's fire across to you.
Yeah, Super 7 for me. We've just had confirmation that Switchblade Jay White is going to be upcoming from Super 7. That'll please the indie fans no end, because that's the one that's probably the most customized figure at the moment is Jay White. Not so great news Super 7 wise. There's been a lot of criticism of Series 1 that have come out with the Okada figure in. They really, to me, they didn't look like was expected. The quality doesn't look fantastic. I don't know if you've seen the Okada one especially, but the skin is about 6 tones darker than his actual skin. It looks really weird. The heads are okay, but they just don't look great quality, to be honest. Ringside put some images up, I think, of Series 2, and they were criticised so much because they looked so bad that Ringside actually took them down, and Super 7 have put their own images up, which in fairness do look a lot better, but I think it's probably put quite a few people off getting these.
Yeah, I have heard about this, and I did also hear that the pictures that Ringside took, maybe in like quickness or haste, weren't very good, which put off a lot of people. And it's the same with the release of Series 1, in that apparently it's better in person than it is on those photographs. There was something on the Major Pod this week where Brian Myers actually got the figures. He was the first one to get them because he lives around the corner basically from Ringside. And he did a quick review straight away and said they weren't as bad as what the pictures represented. So if you're thinking about picking them up, or you've got pre-orders, don't be too worried or too disappointed by the picture you've seen, because you might be pleasantly surprised when they do arrive.
You'd hope so, because of the prices of them. If you're going to have figures at that kind of price level, they need to be bang on. They need to be quality. I've kind of cheated again, and I've got 3 of the heads coming to me. I've got Tanahashi, Okada, and Will Ospreay heads coming to me, so I'll see what I can sort out myself there.
I think if I was being sponsored by somewhere that took some bad pictures, I'd try and glam them up as well. But it's...
We did try to approach it from that way, that they weren't trying to shill a product that they're associated with. Plus, like, they've got nothing to sell at this point. They've already sold them, so they've got nothing to gain, nothing to win. They try to put it that way. But you're right about the price point. You can't really justify it being that high when you could maybe say it was a $30 figure and not a $41. So they do come with a few extra accessories than you would do with a...
Yeah, definitely. $30 is probably bang on, because they do look good. They are very toyetic figures, but if the quality is not great, it's definitely not a $50 one.
Yeah. So I think Super 7, we discussed them before, haven't we? They concentrate a lot more on the inbox side of things and the packaging, and rather than the actual figure. The Andre one's the same. Not sure what the future ones of the Major Pod guys and the Cabros will look like. It looks like, once again, they've put a lot of effort into the outer packaging. So the only thing these are classed as toys. The back of the toy even said, this is not a toy, it's for display purposes, really. So not to be played with. So I think quality-wise, they probably don't put that extra effort in there, because they're just trying to make it look like a wow factor on your shelf, basically.
Yeah, you got a point about the packaging, but the packaging doesn't impress me.
Shania Twain down there. Yeah, because I think with the Jay White one, it is it's a good choice for the next series. You said a lot of the indie guys are off. I never heard of the guy until about 6 months ago, so I don't really watch that much Japan wrestling, but seems to be everywhere at the moment. Looks everywhere.
He'll definitely be in the big two within a couple of years.
Yeah, it's hard for me to comment on these figures. I'm not as familiar with any of the wrestlers really, so if they don't look like them, I'll take your word for it rather than mine.
Speaking of Switchblade, he also has a Rising Stars figure, which will be coming out before or after, but they've just announced it now, so more than likely be out about 2 years down the line when he signs with the big two, more than likely. It's always the way, isn't it? As we discussed last time, that they have a good scout as to who's going to go where in the future, which is always good to see. So, John, have you got any other news for us?
Yeah, I'm going to credit you because you predicted this quite a while ago with Elite 86 being a complete SummerSlam series. We have had confirmation with that, and Sid is coming as a referee. I believe he's got soft goods and will have a wrestling attire underneath. So I suppose that was the biggest point of contention of the series. The rest we've already spoke about, but it's good to know that you're getting essentially a 2-in-1 figure. I didn't want it to be completely all referee Sid.
I'm really impressed by the fact that it's soft goods. Also impressed by my prediction skills, but also more impressed by the referee side of things. I think that's a good step up, a good step in the right direction anyway, because think about all the guest referee matches you could have in your figure photography.
Well, I mean, you're going to become with a vest. Not every referee wore a vest or a tank top, whatever you call it in the US. So it's only really going to work for him. And maybe I think Vince wore one at some point in the Attitude Era.
And women.
Yeah, referee shirts anywhere really. Even I'm selling a few.
Yeah, referee shirts have all been soft goods, if I'm not mistaken, so far. Shawn Michaels had one, Batista had one.
Yeah, there's one that came in like a Creator Wrestler pack, which is
yeah.
But yeah, that's neither here nor there.
And they could have been lazy about it and just put the referee shirt with the Elite body on there, which.
Did we say that we have Colonel Mustafa as the collector's edition in that series? So that it's probably going to predict the SummerSlam 91. Basically, what we're missing now is that you could get the General Adnan. I think that would be a major one, but would they go down that route because he's so heavily associated with Saddam Hussein? Actually, were real life friends and that sort of thing back in the day.
I don't know. I didn't know that, so that's new to me. I was going to say yes straight away to your question because they know the completists will want it. I don't think WWE have much of a think about morals, to be honest. So they probably will.
It's not WWE that with the morals. It seems to be Mattel because they're not even putting on the Soviet flag with Nikolai Volkov and things like that.
Maybe.
It's just fun.
Yeah, strange one that, isn't it? You'd hope that they'd do a General Adnan. General Adnan, is he called?
Yeah. Number 7 there.
Yeah, but I always get confused with the one from Star Wars. But yeah, I think it's a good one to release for the SummerSlam 91. It was a big match at the time, so good to see that they're releasing those. Maybe we'll get a Slaughter down the line in the attire, but we'll never know.
I do believe that's also rumored, maybe Elite 87 as the collector's edition, but I think we've already got a really good basic, which came in a flashback. I believe it was a Builder figure, and as a basic goes, it's one of the better ones. It's got that WrestleMania 7 attire with a headdress and shades. But I might re-release that as an Elite.
Never know. It's 30-year anniversary, isn't it? Hence why we're doing WrestleMania 7. So it's good that they're doing those sort of things. Makes me excited for next year because I said last year we had a lot of Attitude Era WrestleMania 2000 figures come out. Like Viscera, for example, we've been waiting for a while. He came out with a hardcore title from WrestleMania 16. Sorry. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see if they keep doing the anniversary side of things.
I never even realised that.
That's what I'm here for. Breaking news and old news as well. Adam, what else have you got for us?
I just had the Super 7, so I'll leave it to you guys.
Oh, lovely.
Tell still, Jamie, and there was the release that there's no pictures yet, but they are going to release a Rock and Mankind 2-pack. I believe that's going to represent the Royal Rumble to 1999.
Good match. I quit Rock. That one. I quit. That one. No, I quit match. Yeah. The Rock was in tracksuit bottoms and a jumper. Is that like a sweat?
It's already been released as an entrance great as a basic, but they seem to be re-releasing most of them again. Like with the Undertaker, they've released that as a bit an elite, and probably a lot of others. $1 Million Man, he was an entrance great, and they've now released as an elite suit. Yeah. But yeah,
it's a great one. I think that'll sell bucket loads. It's just about the right era for the current collectors at the moment. Willing to settle down a bit and spend a bit more money rather than going out partying type of people. So yeah, great one.
I know the feeling. I'm in that selective bubble, the Venn diagram of those people. So yeah, I think 1989 is a Rumble that I remember quite vividly as a child. So I think that 2-pack will look good. It'll be interesting to see what they do with the background of it. I know they like for the 2-packs doing the background and so on, and making it look like it's the real deal at the event, basically. So interesting to see what background they decide to go with for it.
You'd imagine that the circular metal bars going around in the Royal Rumble sign, I think that is what they used in that event.
Yeah, I think back now. Yeah, it was. It was the No Chance in Hell one, wasn't it? Yeah, so it would have been that one there. Lovely. Anything else from sort of things?
Nothing else from Mattel. You go ahead with your next bit.
Zombies Air Toys have announced for the Retro series a Sex Ferguson figure. Have you guys heard anything about Sex Ferguson?
Right. Full disclosure, you announced this, you told us the news earlier today, and I said, who in the blue are these guys? And you said it's Gallows and Anderson's alter ego characters on the podcast. Is that right?
No, it's you remember they did WWE did this series with like back in like the 70s wrestling. Do you remember that?
Yes.
And what it's called, something Rocky Wrestling or something. It was awful. Yeah, but it had like Rusev and Breezango and stuff on it. So they had Tex Ferguson and I can't remember what Kyle Anderson's name was on it. So basically they've took those characters and they've turned it into a pay-per-view called Talk and Shopper Mania, which is on like Fight TV. So which is basically like a piss take wrestling. So it had like Virgil appeared on it, and it was just sort of just trash wrestling, but they charge people 20 quid for it. So that's their names that they use in that. So it's just Sex Ferguson and Chad Too Bad. So the Sex Ferguson's been announced, and there's also a little wink that there'll be a Chad Too Bad figure coming out soon as well. So
Gallows and Anderson just really annoy me at the moment. And it's not anything that I'm interested in at all. I don't like the comedy style. I don't like the skits. So I won't like these. Simple as.
I was going to say the exact same thing, so I'll not even bother repeating it. And I think we should move on.
Truth be told, I was going to. I agree completely with the pair of you. It's just not. It was funny for a week, and then it's just like, in a minute, it's dragged on a joke, which I know a lot about. So that's that bit of news. Johnny, anything else?
Yes, Jeremy Padawa released what will be Series 6 of Unrivaled. So we've got the Lucha Brothers, Jericho, MJF, Hager, and Shida. So not kind of like teasers a bit saying there's going to be releases or news tomorrow. We're expecting pictures, but unfortunately they've only just released names of these guys in the wave. So that's 4 people that's been had the second or more figure with two new ones with Hager and Shida. Adam, I can see you chomping at the bit to get into this one.
Yeah, it's getting beyond a joke now, to be honest. 4 figures in the next series that we've already had is ridiculous. Yes, people will be looking forward to Shida. No, people will probably not be looking forward to Hager. And then you've got the 4. Pentagon and Phoenix will sell well. They're 100% guaranteed that they will sell well. But it's just not on with the fans. They're taking the mick and they're getting money out of completists. And it's really annoying.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. I think from the other side of things, obviously I'm not a completist of this sort of thing. I sort of picked up a few and then sold them straight away because it's not really my sort of thing. And then now I'm starting to realise that I haven't got to complete them. I can pick and choose my favourite ones from there. So if I get a choice of the Penta and the Phoenix figures, then I'm relatively happy because I get to choose the attire that I have. But I agree, if you're a completist, it's gonna cheese you off a bit.
As the completist here between us, I'm not too annoyed by it, to be honest. I understand the Lucha Brothers coming out again pretty quick because the last one sold so well and they were pretty well done as well. So happy with that. Just get a different color on them, I guess. Maybe a new base stand. MGF, I could argue MGF didn't need another one yet because it's there's not many changes for him. He could maybe come with a robe or something like that, but unless he does come with a robe, then it's pretty much a fail re-release.
Well,
Jericho is pretty much the anchor of the series with Cody, you'd say, so I don't understand why they're doing another Jericho. Glad to get Hager because of completing the Inner Circle, and Shida is a must because of how long she's held the women's title.
So as a figure collector, Series 6, when we've already had so many releases, you're not unhappy that 66% of them have already been released and we're only on Series 6?
No, I mean, obviously, if in a perfect world, I'll choose to have different characters, but I'm not too hard against it, and I understand what they're doing. They're getting things out quickly, so they're going to have to do re-releases or repaints just to make up the numbers and for, cost effective.
I get that. I just think the amount that they're doing is ridiculous.
Oh, well,
I think it makes sense now why the Penta spare head was not given with that one. Do you reckon they're gonna use the spare head that was originally supposed to come with Penta for this?
Yeah, you've got to hope so. You can't just use the same one. You're gonna have to make it, different. If it is just a recolor, they're gonna have to make a different head on, things like that, just to make it worthwhile getting.
Was it white, the first one? Was it?
Yeah, black.
Yeah, so black or red, I guess, would make the most sense for this one then.
Something like that. Imagine something like that. Black and red, black and yellow. I don't really know too much about them. I can't remember too many things.
They're good anyway. The rest becoming quite a fan of those two. I think that I agree with the Shida. It's definitely a needed one. She's got a bit of a fan base at the moment. Hager, I don't hate the fact that Hager's in there, only because it comes with being in a circle, Jake Hager, wouldn't it? But only issue I have, the picture that they've used so far has been his debut where he wore the polo shirt. So hopefully they don't do a casual clothes Hager.
Well, they haven't released anything in casual clothing yet, so it would be the first. But you're right, it should be the wrestling attire just to fit in with the rest so far.
Well, they do a Psycho Sid and have the soft goods on top of the wrestling thing, which would be
a bit too far, I think.
Revelation, that would be on there. And as far as repaints go, I think it makes sense that they're doing repaints if they're releasing figures this quickly. It just doesn't make sense why they're releasing figures this quickly. I think is the annoying thing with it. You got to think they're releasing a series a month or so every 6 weeks. That's 120 quid every 6 weeks that you're spending on these.
Yeah, the way figures are going at the moment, it's almost an investment. If you're buying them, figures are seemingly going up in value. So I could be wrong, but that's the way I'm
going to say. Cross your fingers there.
Yeah, Adam's bought a few as an investment as well.
Yeah. Some of them are. Some of them aren't, but some of them are, certainly. Lovely. Any other news for us, boys? Any other
No, I'm all out.
Lovely. Well, we've got some lovely pick-me-ups coming up next. Hopefully got some AEW duplicates in there as well. So, brilliant. I'll see you guys in a sec.
Ooh, some lovely pick-me-ups.
Pick-me-ups time. And we'll be looking at our recent pick-me-ups from since the last episode of the podcast. Johnny, let's kick off with you. What have you got for us?
Yeah, I'm going to blame you for this one, Jamie. As you were commenting on our messenger and said, I've just made some purchases from Euroshop. So, of course, I go on the look on and find that there's some decent deals there, 50% off. First one I'm actually wearing. This is the Edge. I can't remember what it's called. Lewd and Tattooed or something like that.
Crude and lewd, I think that says.
Wherever that is. The bad thing about this is that it appeared white on the screen on Euroshop. I looked very closely and it was maybe very, very light grey. But when I got it, it's really, really like grey, unfortunately. It doesn't pop with this bit. You can't even see it. Hardly. But disappointing, but half price. I'm not bothering returning.
Euroshop wise, any good deals that pop up, I'll just slide into your DMs and be like the little devil on your shoulder and be, oh, there's some good Euroshop on. And then lo and behold, you're dripped in Euroshop swag, aren't you?
There you are, once again.
I invested in some chalkline stuff. I got this lovely Raw is War American football jersey, which was normally 80 quid. No, 70, and it was reduced to 35, which was fun at the time. Then after I paid for it, I was like, I'll just pay 35 quid for an American football jersey.
Can we actually see it?
Yeah, you want to. All right, so do a little, let the dog see the rabbit. And I got some Raw is War shorts as well to go with it, which
I think you've been had on the shirt. It's not even worth 35. I think that sometimes they put things on their website and it's just ridiculous pricing. Knowing that they kind of discount things all the time, they probably put them high to start with. But yeah, speaking of chalkline, also let me join you on some NWO shorts to go with the NWO vest.
Oh, I got
the wolf pack as well.
I got the same one. I got the same Wolfpack one.
Yeah.
It's
yeah, looks pretty neat.
Good. Well, I'm quite a weird body size, as you guys know. So, like, when I get the chalkline stuff, it fits me in certain places, and in other places, it very much doesn't fit me. So it's sort of a weird sizing for me. You should be fine with it, but yeah, it's just very weird.
Thought your voice was sounding a bit high.
Yeah. To be honest, I wish there was a size lower because I think I'm traditionally small, but I like things to be quite tight in a way on me. So these being quite loose, they're even more loose than normal. So if I was going to, I'd probably order extra small if it was possible in the chalk line.
Or a child.
Well, we don't have them.
Oh.
In fact, I did actually try it. I was a t-shirt before, like the highest one, but it kind of fit okay around the sleeves, but it was too high on the waist. Just an experiment. Because it was quite cheap. So
yeah.
A go.
Yeah.
They like tight things.
Adam, let's cut across to you based on that then.
Let's do that, shall we? I had a quick look on Fig Pop Shop the other day and saw a figure which seems to be decreasing in value everywhere, to be honest. I don't really know why. So I just picked up a couple. And first one is the Michael Hayes Fabulous Freebirds one. That's the one that seems to be decreasing at the moment. Like I said, not sure why. It's a nice figure, quite like the chest hair on that one. And I got the John Morrison one purely because I'm collecting the tag teams and it can go with the Miz to make the Miz and Morrison tag team with the beautiful SmackDown tag team title. Probably one of my favourite belts, that one. Thank you, Big Pop Shop.
Shouldn't they haven't got a Mercury? I suppose they haven't released the Mercury.
You'd probably have to go for an earlier look of Morrison if you're going to do Mercury, because that is the Miz and Morrison version.
Yeah, 2008, isn't it?
Yeah, something like that. It's one I'd be on the fence about getting as well, it's like borderline towards my flashback collection, but I've decided against it thus far. Maybe if I ever get in a bundle, I might keep it. But
I was going to say, I think you'll see quite a lot of them popping up on eBay shortly because they are going down and down in price.
I'm not going to go out of my way to get it. The Michael Hayes is going down in value because it seems that we are getting collector's editions with every series now, and they've even come into B&M and the Entertainer, and even Entertainer have reduced prices to $17.60, I believe.
Yeah.
Well, I'm gutted I paid 30 plus quid for that one.
Yeah, it's such a shame they didn't do it with the earlier series, like the Briscoe and the Patterson. I'm sort of on the lookout for at the moment. I'll go a bit into that in a second, but yeah, I mean, you're not finding them for less than 100, 120 for the pair. At least, which is annoying.
Oh.
But yeah, speaking of elites, I had a birthday recently, so I thought I'd try and get some lovely elites in. I'm concentrating a lot more on my Attitude Era displays, so like the 96 to 2001. So I'm picking up a lot more of those. I got a Jerry the King Lawler, Elite 83, I believe. No, earlier than that, 82. Really good figure. I think I said to you, Joe, I quite like the cape, the detail on it's really nice. I'm a big fan of Jerry the Lawler anyway. But yeah, I think it covers a couple of years on there. But here we go to my sort of 96, 97 display.
Yep, as you can see on the screen, I've got the same one, and I do agree it's one of the best figures, especially Jerry Lawler, from the standards of Jerry Lawler. And it's one of those that have been missing from the mid-90s collection for a while, so I'm pleased to get that one. Even though it wasn't widely available in the UK, I've picked up on Ringside along with a few other things that we might come to next.
Yeah, I actually picked it up as well, really cheap on eBay, but it's got a head swap, so I need to find a head.
I see that. The head swap won't do any favours, I don't think.
No, I quite like the head on there. I think you see there's been some horrific Jerry Lawler heads. I think the Jax one comes to mind first, the Titantron one, WrestleMania 17, I think it was, that you had. But yeah, that's not a bad head sculpt. It's got his chubbiness at the time quite well on there, I would say. Next we got Mae Young. So messaged you, Jono, and said, would she fit in the Attitude Era collection? You said she wore that attire in the Attitude Era, so it counted for me.
Of course, definitely.
I put an next to the Dudley Boys on there. So next up, got one I've been looking for a while. Got a Mankind SummerSlam Elite. Popped up with the hardcore title. I've got obviously the original 96, 97 Mankind. I've got Dude Love, I've got Cactus Jack. The only one else missing was this. I couldn't find it for a decent price. Picked up for 35 quid, posted in box. Quite a nice box. I thought bad about opening it. But yeah, really nice figure. I think one I'm quite happy to get in the collection.
Yeah, lovely figure, that. Best Mankind figure.
I don't have that one. I've got the original Elite 17 instead, which is slightly... It's the same figure, but the tie's got less detail on, so it is better. Probably the best one.
Yeah, I think I quite like the... you can't really see it on much one. Next, we've got one I've been after for a while. I keep missing out on him, and it's Rocky Maivia. I've had a few near misses on Rocky, but I managed to pick him up once again for a decent price. I think he was also 35 quid. I think I got him for. But yeah, I was quite happy to get Rocky in there. Sort of once again the 96, 97 selection on there.
Not a bad price at this stage, Jamie.
No, quite the little tassels as well. And two more. We've got Trish Stratus. Not the LJN version, Johnny. No, just the Elite one. They haven't really released a sort of Attitude Era Trish. This is as close as I think we're going to get. This is sort of a 2002, 2003 Trish. Probably could pass up to 2006, to be honest. But
2006, we're out in the timeline there, I think, with that one. The WrestleMania 18 and the Canada attire is probably the closest to the Attitude Era that you're going to get for Trish at the moment.
Shouldn't change it that much though. That'd be fine. Unless they release a TNA version, that'll be a good placeholder in that case. Then, and finally, one that I've been after once again for a while, but managed to pull the trigger on it on eBay is the Ringside exclusive Shayno Mac figure. Once again, it was a decent price. I think it went for 24 quid. I think posted. So yeah, it's a very good price. I was looking at getting him in box just to get the King of the Ring breakable thing, and then I realized I don't really need it. So I figured that I'd pick him up loose instead, and I'll pop him next to Kurt Angle and have a lovely little scrap with him. But yeah, it was good little find. That I was quite happy with Shane.
Brutal match that
Was.
Yeah, well, they didn't. They're supposed to put the sugar glass inside the panes, but they didn't do it in the end, and then they didn't tell Kurt or Shane, and then they just ended up. Yeah, the poor lamb.
Hey, the guy who installed the special effects got fired immediately and was never ever used again by the WWE. So it did cause a lot of issues for those guys.
Yep.
Yeah, that was your final one, Jim.
That was it. That was Shayno Mac. Final one.
Being that busy that you've rattled them all off in one go, and you didn't even include another one that you've got in the last couple of weeks. What did you? Well, because we both got it and we both unboxed it.
Well, I mentioned it on the last episode, but yours hadn't arrived yet.
Oh well. But yeah, we did a little unboxing, so if you want to check that out, it's on our YouTube page. So I just thought I'll mention that in the back of your purchases.
I would have mentioned him with Mae Young if I picked him up.
Yeah, that was a good place to mention it as well. But if you, not even you could make that link.
No.
Back to me.
Back to you.
I will stick with Mattel then, and Elite 3 was released recently, so I picked up the Dusty Road, which was represented at the 1990 Survivor Series. Bit of a very brief run as this sort of, I would describe it as hobo Dusty Road, with a punch and a hat with a bird foot on, I guess. I'm not sure if that's it, with the 4 talons. So a black and red polka dots. Interesting one. I did get this from Fig Pop Shop, by the way, and used what was some bonus points. So in the end, I just got it for £7.50. That included postage. So if you are going to order from Fig Pop Shop, have a look into the loyalty rewards scheme, because you do get £1 back for every £20 you spend, which is amazing, really. As most places only give, something like 10 pence for every £100 you spend, if you want to look at Nectar and things like that. But that's an amazing deal, really.
Yeah, it's really good, that. I'm surprised it's that high, £1 for every 20.
Yeah.
Is there any difference in the face scan at all with the others, or is it the same?
I think it's the same as the one that came with the ring. Do you remember that one that came with the WCW ring? I think that's the same scan. I think it's behind me. I could double check.
That was the better Dusty Head anyway. So
yeah, it's the same one as that. So yep, that was that one.
Which Survivor Series was that? Survivor Series 90, 90? 91?
99. Or he said it, Jamie.
Sorry, I phased out. Wondering why your t-shirt wasn't as tight as it should be. So it's just makes sense once again. 30-year anniversary for it. When no one have announced it, so common theme there.
indeed.
Yeah, I'll do my last Mattel of the week, and this one is in fact from Adam the Wrestling Man. I seen that he very sneakily put something up on eBay that I was quite interested in. So instead of let Adam incur those eBay fees, I just went to him direct and paid him the money, saved him on the fees, and picked up the Defining Moment Shawn Michaels.
Lovely that.
So this one's a little bit out of my collector range of years, but made a bit of an exception because I think it's one of the best matches I've ever seen against the Undertaker at WrestleMania 25. Is that right?
Yeah.
26.
There's both. There's 2 in there. And this attire was 25, I believe.
25 was a better one anyway, and what a match that was. Got to be representing the figure form. Well, thanks, Adam.
Yeah, so it's a cracking figure that I've heard this Adam the Wrestling Man is a good seller. But yeah, cracking figure. The only reason that I got rid is that it just didn't fit with my tag team display anymore, and I need some funds for tag teams. So it's a great figure.
And very much happy to fund your tag team exploration.
We're back to me.
Yeah, go
Up
on.
to you.
Right. Well, I have caved finally. I've spoke about these micro brawlers and the fact that I won't be paying silly money for them, and I won't. But I do have a little display set up now, so I picked up 3 new ones to go with the 4 or so that I've already got. The new ones that I got are Demolition Axe, the Macho King. And thanks to Jamie, who saw this on Facebook, the cheapest of the Owen Hart micro brawlers. Surprisingly better than the red Chase version. I'm not sure why. And nowhere near as expensive as the one with the kind of classic Hart Foundation gear on. So the kind of original Rocket Owen Hart. I won't be paying silly money for these, and I won't be getting ones that are bland and boring. I'm just going to pick 15, 20 that are really nice and toyetic, such as that, which is absolutely fantastic. And hopefully get some good ones in there. They only cost me about £8 each, those ones, on Facebook. Thank you very much to the seller on those.
Right, I'm going to leave Jamie to answer this one. I've just got a knock at the door, as we might.
Bailiffs. Johnny's got the bailiffs at the door. Yeah, I think with what are the quality like on them? Because I've always thought they were like squishy or bendy. I've never really.
There's movement, but they're not squishy. Like if I move the legs, they do move in.
Right.
But it's a lot of pressure that I'm putting on there to actually move them. They're pretty rock solid. They're not the greatest for standing. You've got to have quite a lot of blue tack on the bottom of them to get them to stand. So hopefully the blue tack won't have a negative effect on them over the time that they're on display. But no, they're not bendy. They'll last the test of time.
Interesting collection you've got there. Certainly look the part. It's very cartoony, and I like that, especially with the 80s and early 90s characters. And works
Yeah,
well,
that's it. It's all about the characters. It's all about getting those people that look absolutely brilliant and pop.
You see a few like I think the Honky Tonk Man one looks good with the guitar. I think the Kamala one's probably the best I've seen out of all of them, toyetic wise. For someone that's not massively toyetic, I think they've certainly gone the extra mile and put all the toyetic ones in there. The features, we say, so the shield and the mask and so on. So I think he looks really good. But yeah, I think for little pieces of rubber or whatever they are, they look quite good.
Yeah, I've left it long enough, so I definitely can't be a completist. It's not going to take up all my money, so pick up some nice and cheap ones.
Lovely. Are we back to me? Let's stay on the Mattel train then. I showed you guys just before I started recording. I got the Ultimate Edition Hollywood Hulk Hogan. I saw Jono get one last week. Been sort of looking out for one ever since then. They've come down in price quite a lot. Surprised that a lot of places have them available, like sort of 37, 40 quid roughly. So I'm quite surprised. But as you guys said, I can see the value of this increasing.
Best Ultimate to date, without a doubt.
Yeah, I've not actually seen them that cheap, so I think you've done well there.
Well, yeah, I think Rock and Roll Collectibles 37. So
It's good.
There's been quite a few on there, but I know obviously the Macho Man and the Edge one as a prime example. Just leave that there so we can get a look. Macho Man and the Edge one get to take away from the money maker then, aren't they? They've been 35, 40 quid roughly. I've seen the Macho Man and the Edge ones go for recently from shops, so very surprising, but not a bad thing. I think if we had that with the Rock figure, it wouldn't be going for 100 quid plus on eBay.
To arrive with the wrong t-shirt on.
Yeah, I'm your Pappy t-shirt instead.
Right then. So it's back to me.
Back to you.
As I said last episode, I was waiting on the shipment from Ringside. Got delayed from the weather in the States. Another thing I picked up finally was a little bit of the bubbly. So I got that. In fact, I got two. So I opened one. So that's the packaging, and here's the figure. Jericho was with a belt, microphone, 2 bottles of bubbly, table, 2 cups, and even a little platter of snacks. So it's a lovely little play set. Perfect for what it was as a Ringside exclusive. And of course, one of the best packaging bits ever made.
I think it was the first ever AEW figure, wasn't it?
I think it depends how you look at it. I think it possibly was the first one that was in people's hands.
Is there a number on the side of it? Is there the number?
It's not number 1. Cody Rhodes is number 1 from
course.
Series 1.
1, 2, 3, and 4 his way. But yeah, I remember that being one of the first things people seeing on like Instagram and Twitter and so on, is people having those in hand. Because they're still going strong. Did you get the updated packaging?
Yeah, I mean, obviously I didn't really know what the difference was, but yeah, I think this is the updated packaging. And just take it apart. This is the shell of the box, and the accessories and stuff came, above the figure.
You've got to appreciate the effort with that. It's bang on.
People were saying about, how am I supposed to display this? You do have to break the seal, but you could remove that bit of the wine or the bubbly package and display it like that. So you can see where the figure would be here.
I guess it's still shaped, isn't it? Like a bubbly bottle.
So you can still display it, you just, because people were saying, how do I display this as an MOC? I suppose it's not technically MOC if you break that seal, but, you can display it in its box still.
Well, it's the same as the sort of WWE Ringside exclusives with the boxes that open up, the Dead Man's Revenge and Firefly and so on. They've got a little seal on there, but if you want to display that open, you're essentially breaking the seal. So, grey. Yeah, grey area, isn't it?
Yeah, yes.
We'll just do it back up. Adam, should we?
Yeah, nice and quick one for me, because these two have both been previously shown by you guys. Just picked up a couple of figures from Smith's using the discount from the delayed Bulldog. Got for the tag team display. Jono, you showed this last week and said that it wasn't as bad as you thought, so I thought I'd pick it up myself. You're right, it's not. The face is just too long. That's the problem. The elongated face just ruins it. But I'll put the one with the hair over his face up in the death triangle up there. And picked up the Andre the Giant Wrestlemania with the cart, just purely for the cart. I'll be selling the figure, and I'll whack it up in the early tag team display behind me.
Awesome. Yes, I actually thought when you were leading into that, you were going to completely disagree with what I said about Pac and not being too bad in hand. But yeah, it's about the right.
It's all right.
Yeah, it's about the right summarization of it. It's not one of the best ones, but it's not as bad as it looked.
I've been tempted by Pac. I've seen it pop up on the group a few times this week, and it's still in stock in Smith's as well. But I think if I'm going to go on that route of getting the Lucha Bros, I think we'll have to get a Pac. But I don't know whether that's the rabbit hole I want to get down.
Yeah.
But
I wasn't going to pick it up, to be honest, if the Lucha Brothers had stayed as a tag team. But then the other day in AEW, Pac and Phoenix were the tag instead. I thought, I've got to do it.
Mm.
And yeah, them ring cards are pretty good as well, because you can get 2 wrestlers in. I know we talked about it before, so yeah,
It's not easy to open.
Going to look down and getting a few and displaying your tag teams in there. Certainly with the golden era, you could do that. And look, yeah, nice.
I know that they're selling them in B&M at the moment. I think they're 18 quid in B&M, Macho and Andre.
I think you could at least get about 15 quid to sell an Andre on its own.
Yeah, definitely.
So you may be paying 3 or 4 quid for the stand.
It's not bad.
Well,
I'll pay that. Right, it's got cost to me. So, speaking of weather problems, I know you guys are thinking, where's this going?
typhoon. That's it. Hurricane. Yeah.
Typhoon. Got a Typhoon Hasbro mint on card. I think I'm sort of in two minds about the sort of Hasbro side of things and whether to go and sort of fully collect them or not. But I'm going back and collecting some of my favourites that from a childhood. So sort of going back and picking up some of the ones that I really, really liked and maybe some that I didn't have as well. I think there was like 4 or 5 that I never actually owned as a child. So I'm going back and picking those up. So yeah, 1, 2, 3 kids on that list, but maybe not.
So MOC Hasbro there. What's going on here, Jamie? This is completely new for you.
Raffles, John.
It won't last. Skinflint Jamie is not going to collect MOC Hasbros.
No,
I just heard the R word, didn't I?
you did. Yeah. Giveaways, raffles, and so on. But yeah, I think certain ones are so quite happy to have a little punt on £2 here and there. Mint on card Hasbros that, quite frankly, I'm never going to buy. But this is 80 to 100 quid in this condition, so I'm never going to buy that. So if I'm going to test the waters with it, I'm quite happy to do it on 2 or 3 quid, quite frankly.
I've got to admit, I am tempted to do a little bit of an investment in card Hasbros as well. So, things are going mental at the moment, and I've noticed things like grading and things will add a lot of extra value. It's one of those things where you could buy it now and then double your money in 10 years' time, or it could just completely go the opposite way.
Don't you think in 10 years' time, though, the age range will have stopped them from being as desirable?
You've got to always think of some things like that. It's hard to predict, but there is a lot of money in collectibles at the moment, especially graded, signed, even cards. Yeah. Cards are going mental at the moment.
Yeah, I know a Rocky Maivia one went on eBay for a ridiculous amount, and there's a few other like early wrestling cards that they released of certain people that have gone for loads as well.
Yeah, it's the WWF Cardinal set from 1997 and things like that. The rookie cards for Triple H and Stone Cold and The Rock, but it's all down to like how you can sell it. Really, you could say, "Oh, this card's the first one," or "This one's the first one." Now,
I was just going to say the same thing. I know what you're talking about is correct, but I see so many on eBay that say rookie card, and I'm like, that's not the rookie card. Why does it say that? But it's all selling.
Exactly.
That's the difference, isn't there? There's a card of when they were a rookie, and there's the rookie card. So I don't know.
Yeah, it's just all from USA, isn't it? The prices went up on the baseball and cards and basketball when they were the rookie cards, but they were made as rookie cards. These WWF ones, people are just saying it's the rookie card. It's not the same.
The same spike like this happened in the 80s, and then what people did was that they went out and bought cards upon cards upon cards, and then over that time that became absolutely worthless. So I don't know if that's things going to happen again.
A good omen.
But there's some real investors out there pay, hundreds of thousands of dollars for a card or a signature or a toy or anything like that, and then manage to flip it for 4 or 5 times as much later on. It's mental. It's a crazy world that we probably not going to be able to experience ourselves.
Crazy world that we call Earth.
Not only to big up the Major Pod again, but they do have an excellent interview with this guy who does all this investing into the cards and signatures and collectibles like that. It's a very interesting listen. I forget his name, but it'll be on their channel. So if you want to check that out, have a little listen. And
yeah, I think I will actually. I like my trading cards, so I'd like to know a bit more about
them. His rookie interview that they're referring to us.
I think we've gone off the rails a bit with that. So let's get back to purchases. Is it my turn? Or
back to you.
Another thing that got lost in the post, I picked up finally the big ring from AEW, and it comes with the Kenny Omega figure. You can see there. So again, I picked up 2 of these. I'm going to open one and build. Just keep one for a rainy day. See if that might pop in value over the years. So might even do a little video of the unboxing and building this one.
A 4-hour video.
We'll have to do a bit of fast forward on a gym.
Have to get Nick Nolte round, won't you? Nick Knowles, get him round. Help you build it.
Turn the volume off for all the profanities.
Yeah, I think
I'm quite experienced in building rings with the amount I've had over the year. I imagine it's just the same as the old ESR from Whitco Toys. So I should know what I'm doing with this.
fingers crossed. Yeah, I've seen it a few times. I know WrestleBox have a few in stock, so I've been sort of looking at that. But I've got the Elite scale ring in the loft anyway that I don't use, so I don't think I need another one. But the Omega figure, especially, I think is going to increase in value unless they release that figure again.
It's hard to know because with the amount of Kennys that get released, the other ones are going to lose their value. Yeah. Double-edged sword. Anything else from you guys?
Yeah, I've got a couple. So I wanted something different to display behind me. And I saw these kind of third of a ring things from Unforgiving Steel on Facebook UK. So I thought I'd take a risk and pick one up. They look pretty nifty. And this is the WCW one. So you can ask and customize for what you want. So you can get different colored rings, ring skirts, and ropes. So I went for the early 90s WCW version with the blue, black, and yellow ropes. You can fit probably 5-6 figures maximum in these. Pretty good, to be honest. I'll get Jamie to bob a picture in of the WWF one I got because I've already got that one in display down here as well. But yeah, check them out. Unforgiving Steel on Facebook UK.
Cue Jamie to forget to put the picture in.
Yeah.
I've already forgotten. Already gone. Yeah, I was speaking to Unforgiving Steel on Instagram, just trying to see if he can do one for the podcast and see if we can use something to display figures in. Had a look at some of his stuff. Yeah, quite a good little third of the ring. A lot of the ones that come with the, is it the Eagle Moss or the Funkos that come with like a third of the ring? Similar to that size-wise, I think. So maybe that's what he was going for.
Yeah, it's just something different, to be honest. It's all handmade and stuff, which is great. Just something different for the display because I don't want every single section of my display to just be risers. I want something a little bit different, and these I think look pretty effective. So I'm really happy with it.
I don't think I could have the luxury of displaying something like that with the amount of figures that you see behind me. I think risers is the only way to go. I'm already running out of room, which possibly going to, once I get round to it, take all the replica belts out of this room and fill that space with more figures, especially since I don't even have the AEW ones in this room at the moment.
Quite a new mansion.
I imagine he could probably do them as risers, couldn't he? The little rings.
You could probably build anything in them, especially if it's good wood. You could build risers instead of rings or whatever.
So my final pick me up wasn't really, I didn't really purchase it. I was gifted them in the post for my lovely wrestling belts from winning the quiz. My final pick me ups. Here they are. Took a while to come, some of them, but I imagine they didn't want to let them go. It's lucrative pieces of these. Both spinners, both with Legion of Hasbro on there. So it's from the King of the Quiz that they had, which we found out yesterday. I think that the next quiz is next Friday, so hopefully I can hang on to them. The 19th of March. So yeah, hopefully I can hang on to them after that. Not likely. It's a free for all. It's just a pot luck a lot of the time, but yeah, not likely you're gonna hang on to them, and hopefully I might be some to Johnny because he seems to enjoy them that much.
Oh yeah, I'll be definitely joining in. One of the highlights of the month is the quiz we've talked about before. It's really well done. So yeah, looking forward to that. But Jamie, told you before, you can't win the belt on a draw.
You can.
You drew.
I did.
Oh.
Adam, are you going to join us for this one?
No, I'm going to spend 2 hours putting all your transfers through on the Fantasy Wrestling League, Jamie. Or not, as you make mistakes all the time on it. One of those two things.
All right. That's enough. Johnny, anything else?
Yeah, just one last one. I was browsing the Facebook groups, and as we say, I'm collecting mint on card and loose. So finally found Brandy at a reasonable price. So I picked that one up. It was from a lad called Nick Priest. Reasonable price. Didn't try to rip anyone off, and sent it pretty really quickly, well packaged and that sort of thing. But I will be opening this one eventually, or this week at some point.
Good stuff. I've just got a tiny little one to finish. Just a thank you to you, Jono, and Wrestling Legends figures. I showed Slater and Gabriel last week, but you kindly sent me a core t-shirt for them, just to show how different and amazing things can be when you just tighten them up a little bit. So I've now got the tag team titles and the core t-shirts on Slater and Gabriel. Get them displayed with Ezekiel Jackson. Think about Wade Barrett because he's already in my Nexus. And yeah, just try and just improve these with belts and accessories and things like that.
You're right. It does improve those figures a lot because it'd be pretty bland without them. And yes, it was the least I can do for all the favors you've done for me.
Appreciated.
It's awkward now. I haven't sent her anything.
Sent me the pasties ages ago. It's fine.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, I see some pasties. Lovely. We're even. Brilliant. Any other pick-me-ups, Johnny? Anything from you?
Any pasties, so I've got nothing to show.
Lovely stuff. Brilliant. We'll be back in a second. That's it for pick-me-ups. I feel a bit sad. Buy some more stuff next time. See you guys. Break it down time now, and we're looking at WrestleMania 7, 30-year anniversary since WrestleMania 7. As we did with the Rumble, just having a look back and seeing our initial thoughts on WrestleMania and basically just having a little bit of a recap on it, really. So, guys, earliest memory of Mania 7, anything come to mind? Johnny, let's go to you first.
This is the first WrestleMania that I remember, and I would have been 4 or 5 at the time, probably 5, yeah. So, yeah, it's the first one I remember. I believe I came into watching wrestling around the Survivor Series 90, so I was possibly even pompous mentis that this WrestleMania was coming. And I definitely watched it at the time as well. I remember certain things that we'll get into later on, like how my little 5-year-old brain computed what he saw on television to what actually was happening.
Yeah, it's the same as. I mean, we've talked before about how our wrestling lives intertwine. This is the first one that I probably watched around the time that it was broadcast. Everything else I watched on videos that I got from Car Boots and stuff like that. So yeah, this is the first one that's proper in there.
For me, Blockbuster didn't have WrestleMania 7. They have WrestleMania 8, but not WrestleMania 7. So I didn't really watch it. My only memory of it was I had a Macho Man Best Matches VHS. And I think the last match on that was Macho versus Warrior, and it had the full aftermath as well. So that's my only sort of earliest memory from this whole thing on there. So with that, let's look a bit at the background for it. So it was originally planned for the Los Angeles Memorial Coliseum, I think it's called. They faked a bomb scare because they didn't sell enough tickets, and they moved it to the Los Angeles Memorial Arena. Apparently, the Gulf War storyline was not well received in some parts. But yeah, I think that's sort of the biggest backstory, should we say, for it is the Gulf War side of things and the Slaughter versus Hogan, which we'll get into. But got any tidbits before we go through the match card?
Surprised at how few ticket sales were actually done there, because they didn't have to give any refunds, which means it was definitely under 16,000, and it was more likely projected at the time at about 11,500 that had sold. So that's pretty bad for this period of wrestling.
It's strange that you mentioned 16,000 as a guess, because not the facts, but maybe what some sort of journalist says that they did sell exactly, or around 16,000 in what should have been 100,000 seater stadium. So yeah, it did massively undersell. And I was wondering if Jamie was just going to say it was because of the bomb, but no, it was definitely because of the old.
Not silly enough. Yeah, not buying the lie of a bomb scare, which they announced 4 weeks in advance. Doesn't make any sense. But yeah, I think it was something like 10,250 or something were actually purchased tickets, and the rest were given away, which is crazy, as you said, for 1991 wrestling, how hot it was at the time. Yeah, certainly is crazy, those low figures. It's sort of Great Balls of Fire 2018 levels of ticket purchases.
They did say they'd be very unwilling to do the bigger stadium as well, just because of the amount of time and money that it would cost for the security as well. Even if you ignore the bomb scare side of things, obviously with the storyline, you were going to need loads of security, and they just worked out that it wasn't feasible.
Exactly. So let's have a look down the match card then. So first of all, if we look at the dark match wise, Coco Beware beat the Brooklyn Brawler. It wasn't on the VHS. It's not even on the network, so it's just a nice little thing to mention that match happened. So first off, we've got the Rockers. The Rockers took on the Barbarian and Haku. Rockers were really over at this time. If you look at watching the match itself, the crowd really did pop for them. Really good heels, the Barbarian and Haku as well, and Bobby the Brain Heenan, fantastic. First thoughts on the beginning of the pay-per-view, America the Beautiful, leading into the first match?
Let's not comment on the national anthem. That's just here or there, something we skip every time.
I did.
Yeah, I love this match. It is brilliant, excellent match. This is the exact sort of match you want to see Marty Jannetty and Shawn Michaels in. Two, high flyers at the time, battling two really powerful big men. And the contrast between them worked really well. There's a little fun fact I've got for you is that this is Bobby Heenan's last pay-per-view appearance as a manager. Wow.
It's a shame, really. I quite liked the dynamic of him being a manager, and then we'll get to this in a second, but just cutting straight to the commentary table just after that, I quite liked. But for the first match, we had Jim Duggan, Hacksaw. He was on commentary for the first side of things. He come out wearing a lovely red, white, and blue suit and a lovely hat because USA rules on this event, basically. Adam, what was your view on the first match?
Yeah, great. I mean, you just touched on it with Jim Duggan first of all. I am very shocked I've never seen a custom of that figure because I actually love that outfit. It really promoted the Stars and Stripes Forever tagline that they had for this event, and the fact that they really wanted to move away from the negativity side of it and bring it all to good old USA. Duggan, perfect for that. But the match itself was brilliant. I did notice that Marty Jannetty took most of the punishment in this match, where I think I might be wrong, but I'm pretty sure that Michaels normally took most of the punishment in matches. So that was a bit of a role reversal in this one for me. Interesting note and interesting fact for you is this was the first of 3 WrestleManias where Shawn Michaels was in the opening match, which shows how over kind of he was with the crowd at this time and going forward. But yeah, great match. I'm kind of shocked that the result wasn't the other way around, just purely because of Haku and the Barbarian appearing again later on in the pay-per-view. I think it would have made them look stronger if they'd have picked up the win in this one.
Yeah, I think you can't go wrong putting Shawn Michaels, Marty Jannetty first. As you say, Shawn Michaels does open in the next few WrestleManias. And I kind of disagree. I think the right people won. It got the crowd after a very, really hot start and couldn't have faulted it. I don't know if I just said that it was Heenan's last match, but it's his last pay-per-view, not last match.
Yeah, he said pay-per-view.
Yeah, we're going to see him later on. Just wasn't sure what I said there.
He said match as a manager.
Was it the Rockers' only win, I think, at Mania? I think they lost the other 2 or 3.
Yeah, I think that's right, because they lost the Twin Towers at 5 and then against...
I think, is it also Marty Jannetty's last Mania match as well? I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, it was.
On the, but yeah, I think with the storytelling of this match is just second to none. I think this is the sort of tag team match I love to see in this day and age, especially being a kid. If you're watching this sort of thing, you want to see the two high-flying, smaller guys, should we say, because as you're a kid, you always think that you reflect more against the smaller guys, overcome the bigger challenge, which in this case is Haku, who's a big, mean, hard bastard, and a barbarian as well. So I quite like seeing that sort of storytelling, and the kids. It's one for the kids to kick the show off, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, not to dwell too much on this match, but there's been talk again of return to wrestling training for myself. So this is this exact sort of persona or wrestling style that I want to try and replicate, is that of Shawn Michaels and Marty Jannetty. Obviously, I'm not going to be anywhere near those guys, but in terms of storytelling in the match and some of the moves, that's where I want to go for my style.
So you can land the missile dropkick and the crossbody simultaneous ones. So yeah, from a really good match and from the good to the, in my opinion, not so good, Texas Tornado versus Dino Bravo. So we've got Bobby the Brain Heenan joins us back on commentary to be one of the best color commentators that you can get. But yeah, this match for me just not good at all. I think the first minute and a half, it just looks very sloppy. Dino Bravo looks like he misses a few cues or a few spots, and finishes with a tornado punch. So Johnny, what's your view on this one?
Yeah, Dino is very sloppy this time, but luckily it is his last ever pay-per-view appearance. Not luckily for him, certainly.
Not now.
Yeah, it's tough to put Dino in. It's a tough watch at this point of time. He's not performed very well. He does have a brief comeback in '92 as without the bleached blonde hair in Canada and things like that, and he looked okay, but that obviously didn't last long.
Yeah, so I mean, if you take out the kind of 5-second, 10-second matches and anything involving Michael Cole, this is probably the worst match in WrestleMania history. This is a terrible, terrible match, but there are reasons for it. Dino Bravo, like you've touched on, Jamie, missing cues and stuff. It looked like he hadn't got a clue. It looked like there'd been no preparation for this match. They were talking to each other the whole match because he didn't have a clue what he was doing by this point. Texas Tornado is understandable. His foot was amputated by this point. So, you know, he was wrestling with one foot, like literally wrestling with one foot. Interesting story about that. I don't know if you heard anything about that, but he injured his foot in a motorbike accident or a car crash or something like that. But a few hours after he had the surgery on it, he really needed a cheeseburger. So he decided to walk on the foot and go and get a cheeseburger from outside the hospital. And pretty much that's what led to his foot having to be amputated. So his own downfall really on that one. But the match was horrendous.
A mistake, you could say.
I've got to admit, I never heard the cheeseburger story, but I did hear that he did come back away from it, and that's the reason why he lost the foot in the end. But he still performed pretty well, like in other matches. So I don't know whether
it says a lot. I think that the foot wasn't noticeable in this match. There was one bit, I think, when it started to go downhill when he went for a clothesline. I'm guessing clothesline Dino Bravo over the top rope, get a bit of a crowd pop in there. Dino Bravo was about a foot away from the rope, just completely missed his cue and just fell over into the corner. It was just that sort of sloppiness. I think it just sort of ruins it for me. But yeah, I agree. I think this pay-per-view in whole is good. Just like you said earlier about a different subject, if you take out the smaller matches, and I think this is one of the forgettable filler matches, I think.
Yeah, you in the card, so to move on to the next.
Lovely. So we've got the people that faced each other on every single pay-per-view in 1991, the British Bulldog and the Warlord. Jono, who's your view on this?
Not a great watch, but I understand why they did it. They wanted to get highlight David Boy's strength to break the full Nelson by the Warlord, and it accomplished what it accomplished, but it shouldn't have been given enough. As much time as it was.
I actually slightly differ there. I really enjoyed this match. I know it's not going to be the most exciting match in the world, but I think as a big man battle with the odd kind of bit in there that surprises you, I actually thought it was really good. Bulldog did a pinpoint drop kick in this match that was amazing. A standing drop kick as well, no movement at all. But this for me it kind of sums up my childhood, this match, because there was a computer game, I can't remember what it was, but Warlord was one of the main bosses, let's say, in the computer game, and it was always Bulldog against Warlord in that one. I think it was like Spectrum or Master System or something like that it was on. So this sums up my childhood, this one. And like Jamie says, Bulldog versus Warlord was a rivalry which lasted all year. Good battle.
There was one, I think, nostalgia-wise, there was a bit in this match where it really sort of got me by the nostalgia hooks. It was when the Warlord locked him in a bear hug. And I don't think they do bear hugs as well as they used to back then. You get the heel lock the baby face in a bear hug. The referee sort of does the old arm drop side of things. That's classic wrestling for me. And I think so you don't see that much of these days. Even with like a cheeky headlock or a sleeper. It used to be quite common back then. Not very common as much nowadays. Waste a bit of time on the match as well, which I always like. So yeah, next up we've got Nasty Boys. Nice little interview from them beforehand. I watched it yesterday with the wife next to me, and she didn't really get the Nasty Boys and what they were about, seizing into Mean Gene's tissue and so on. So yeah, it's a good little shouting at the screen whilst sticking to their persona, which I quite like, leading into the tag team title match. Adam, let's start with you this time. What was your view on the tag match?
Yeah, I really enjoyed this tag match. It was kind of what you need for a tag match. It was getting the crowd to thinking, "Ooh, will it happen? Will it happen?" They had a bit of a tester where they went for the old motorcycle helmet hit, and it didn't lead to the victory. So you tended to think then Heart Foundation are going to pull this one out of the bag, and then they did it again, where it did lead to the victory. Bobby Heenan was amazing on commentary in this match. He was so amped up about this match. It was probably one of his best appearances as commentator on this. Have I got any notes on this one? I don't think I have. Very early for the Nasty Boys to win in their WWF career, tag team belts, but it was a bit of a new dynamic to it, which I enjoyed.
Oh well, if you don't have any fun facts, I certainly do. This match came about in very AEW style, in that there was a tag team battle royal to determine the number one contenders, which the Nasty Boys won and got the shot. And it's also Jim Neidhart's, well, not his last pay-per-view, it's actually the Heart Foundation together last pay-per-view match. So this is the end of the Heart Foundation before Brett's huge singles push coming soon.
It was Anvil's last Mania match ever.
Right. Fair enough.
I do have one fun fact that I forgot. The Nasty Boys actually went out partying after this with Willie Nelson and got absolutely obliterated and gave Willie Nelson one of the tag team titles. So for the next week or so, they had to go around with one tag team belts to the house shows.
That is interesting. I've never heard that one either. I wonder where we all getting our little facts from here.
Probably from different sources, or just make it up like I do. So next, obviously, the match itself really good. Nice little tag team title change. We'll get to the celebrations after. But next up, we've got quite a heated rivalry going into it. One that we touched on in the Rumble '91. Jake Roberts versus Rick Martel in a blindfold match. Which, watching now, it's fun because you know what sort of. Well, you've seen so many blindfold matches since 6 or 7 they've had. It was I quite enjoyed watching this back. And about you guys, Johnny, what's your view on this one?
This is the one that, like, one of them that stuck in my mind as a 5-year-old and something that was completely different. This is exactly what a young fan's going to want to see. It's something that's not a traditional wrestling match. The crowd are hugely involved with Jake Roberts pointing towards certain areas of the ring to get the crowd to help him, which was an excellent move or booking in the show. And you couldn't have played that any better, I don't think. The only thing you could say is that it wasn't like a blood feud, that an end to a blood feud where it might have been a bit more violent or something to end the feud, but it worked the feud had actually been going since October the 6th, which shows the longevity of the feuds back then, not like just something, oh, I'm going to win at Fastlane, so I'm going to face you at WrestleMania type deals we get now.
Yeah, it's one of those matches that for us as kids back then, it works. It's played well to the crowd, like you said. Everything gets involved. Martel's atomizer, or whatever it's called, spray. Jake the Snake. They work the crowd really well. But it's if you put this match on a TV show right now, the critics would have a field day with this. It was too long, and there was pretty much one move in the match is what you'll get from them. But at the time, as a kid, loved it. Still love it now.
The little bits behind it, like I think him feeling the referee and realising the referee had a shirt on, so it couldn't have been Jake Roberts and so on. I quite liked that element to it. But I agree, if it was on nowadays, it would get torn apart. Or I think they had a big risk as well, because if the crowd weren't hot or if the crowd weren't responding to Jake Roberts' point, wasn't it? So I think I'm quite glad they worked out that way. But all in all, I think it was quite a fun watch even now.
Yeah, I think the crowd are a safe bet in 1991. Absolutely brilliant. I'd love to have went to wrestling around that point as a 35-year-old Jono going to 1991 to watch wrestling. Loved it.
Back to the Future style.
Yeah.
And it was Arrogance is the
Flashback.
name of Rick Martel's spray. It's called Arrogance.
No, it's an atomizer. As in the
Oh,
actual
sorry.
name of the thing.
Sorry, I thought you forgot the name of the perfume. My apologies then. You do know more than I let out to be. So next up, we've got the Undertaker versus Jimmy Snucker, which I watched it yesterday. I didn't realise this before, but it looked like it had a bit of a botched finish to me. I don't know if you guys picked up on this, but Jimmy Superfly went for a splash. Undertaker looked like he was about to catch him, dropped him, picked him up, hit him once or twice, tombstone. So I think maybe that was the finish of the catch into the tombstone, but didn't really execute as well as they should have. All in all, it was a 4-minute match, which that happened. Jono, let's cut across. What have you got sort of tidbits-wise on this?
Another moment that stuck in my mind as a 5-year-old, 6-year-old is that, Paul Bearer and Undertaker coming down that ring in darkness, and the expressions on both their faces looking white as a ghost scared the living daylight out of me back then. I was having nightmares and all sorts, just from them. Like, basically, the nightmare would be with those two would just walk in my room, and that would do it. Scared to death.
So the match was the match. It was neither here or there. Props to the cameramen on this match, because they found the most worried-looking children they possibly could in the crowd, which was really, really good, like Jono, yeah. It would be an interesting quiz question, this one, which would be who did the Phenom face at WrestleMania 7?
God, I don't know what you're going to say here, so...
No.
Well, the answer is the Undertaker, because Jimmy Snucker was actually called the Phenom back then. He actually gave the name the Phenom to the Undertaker, so it'd be quite a good use of a quiz question, that one.
I would not go to that quiz.
Sorry, Jamie.
No, I was just going to say, if that's the questions that you're advertising for the old quiz ad, and I'm not going to take part in it.
This is the sort of question we see a lot on Legion of Hasbro, where it has a double meaning and, it catches a few people out. So it wouldn't go out of place there either.
Yeah, I did my research on it when Monsoon called Snucker the Phenom, and I was like, what? Has he got the wrong person there? And then I realised that he was actually called it.
Yeah, and it is his last pay-per-view performance as a singles. I don't know if he did later on in, Taboo Tuesday and things like that, but I think they were all tag matches. So there you go. That was a little fun fact.
Only his second Mania match as well. I think his first one was against Rick Rude a few years prior. So it's quite surprising of someone of the stature of Jimmy Snucker back then.
Lost every single one of his pay-per-view matches.
And, I wasn't saying and court cases, but I think he did all right on those.
He did have a bit of time away as well.
Yeah, that time. Also, a nice little fun bit of Regis Filbert, Regis backstage, and Undertaker and Paul Bearer measuring him for his coffin, which was top quality banter in 1991.
No, disagree.
Top quality, the highest.
All that Jono just said about being afraid of the Undertaker, that little backstage skit ruined it, because the Undertaker started sizing him up and stuff. He should have just stood there while Paul Bearer did all that.
I quite like that. I thought it was a nice little touch.
I think the sort of aura about him was ruined a bit from the Slam Jam song that they released in the early 90s when he was doing his little singing on a record. But next up, we've got Ultimate Warrior versus Macho Man Randy Savage, an absolute classic. These two, the longest match on the card, in my opinion, should have been the main event, but find out why it wasn't the main event later on. But I think a very, very good match. One that, as I said before, was on the end of the Macho Man's Greatest Matches video. He didn't win, but even so, it's still a great match. The ending was a bit strange for me personally, but that's just me liking to see a nice, strong finish to a good match. Adam, what's your view on this classic?
It was a great match. I absolutely love this match from pretty much everything about it. The attire of Macho Man, first of all, is one of the most iconic attires that we'll ever get, especially being a figure collector. The fact that Macho Man was genuinely going to retire after this match meant that you got everything out of Macho Man, and he was willing to do stuff that maybe he wouldn't have been previously, such as dropping 4 elbow drops on somebody for them to kick out. He wouldn't have done that if it wasn't like a genuine I'm going to retire type of moment. The theatrics with Miss Elizabeth and Sherry, absolutely brilliant, iconic in the industry. Honestly, Elizabeth does a better fearful face than anyone, where she's really worried and stuff like that. Her face is brilliant. You couldn't have asked any more of this match. I disagree that it should have been the main event, because it's not the world title match, and that's just my personal viewpoint.
That's what I meant.
But yeah, you couldn't have asked any more from this.
I didn't watch it recently because I'm pretty well versed in what the pay-per-view is, because I had it on video for God knows how many times and watched that many times. When you describing things that happened again to me just there, it's just giving me goosebumps again, because this is one of my favorite matches ever of all times. The elbow drops, that was something I remember very well. It's like that was like the talk between me and my brother. It's like, well, Ultimate Warrior kicked out of 7 Macho Man elbow drops, or how many it was. No one's ever done that. And as you say, the finish I really liked, in that it kind of won so definitively that it put an end to it completely, and you could feel the sympathy for Macho Man as well, which was leading up to the end with Sherry and Elizabeth, which was, what a storyline, brilliant, just a perfect ending.
Yeah, I mean, first of all, by main event, I meant it should have been like a title match. I think the build-up they had for it, with Sherry begging for the title match, and so I think they should have had something like that intertwined. But it didn't need it. It didn't need it. So yeah, I think it was by far the best match on the card. Arguably one of the best matches in the sort of late 80s, early 90s wrestling that I remember seeing anyway. I think, having the match end on the 2 shoulder barges, I think I agree with it in the sense of showing that Macho Man was so knackered that he couldn't kick out of that because he'd given everything, basically. So I think I like the storytelling side of things. I just would like to have seen a big splash or something just to get the crowd a bit hyped up. But I agree on the sense that it was that knackered because he'd given everything that he couldn't kick out of a shoulder barge out the ring.
Beautiful. 5 stars.
Yeah, 6 stars if they were given that. Any further points on this match from either of you? Sorry, Johnny, I forgot to say, I'll cut you off. All of the crying women in the crowd. Good God, there was a lot, wasn't there?
Yeah, I can picture those women in my mind now. Just crying. Sometimes I remember stuff in, like you said, with the Undertaker. A lot of the crowd reactions were done really well. So whoever was directing, probably Kevin Dunn, I imagine. What a job.
Spielberg, by the looks of it. But it was some of the crying women in there was just top quality. television. So next up, we've got Demolition's last ever appearance. So we've got them against, I've written this down, Genichiro Tenryu and Koji Katao. And make sure I pronounce this right, Smash and Crush with Demolition on there. So what's your views on this one, Adam? What was your...
So you go from one of the best things to one of the worst things. I'm an absolutely huge Demolition fan, and this was really sad to see. The only reason it was on there was to get the Japanese audience. Tenryu had a couple of matches, I believe, on top of this in WWE, but I don't think we ever heard of Katao again. It was everything about it was disappointing. The music wasn't the same as the Demolition music. I don't know if there was copyright reasons for that, or whether they changed it just before that, but it was really lame, the music. And you could tell it was sad to watch. Smash and Crush should have been fed to LOD if they were going to do that on the way out of WWE. But instead, they were given a really lame match just for a bit of revenue for WWE. Sad.
Very sad to see the shell of Demolition just being demolished here, pun intended or not. But you're right, weird presentation. Mr. Fuji is inexplicably back with Demolition. And the music side, you're right, they actually did change the music from the, the Demolition music to that. It wasn't just a network thing, it was completely changed for whatever bizarre reason. I guess it was because there was more of a babyface music compared to not what they are now as rubbish heels.
Yeah, you can't beat a good old "Here Comes the Smash." I won't do the full song, but yeah, it's quite strange in the segment before. They were like, "Oh, Mr. Fuji," and she was like, "No, it's Master Fuji," which was a bit weird. I always thought Mr. Fuji, a throwaway comment to bring that up on. But yeah, very strange. I completely agree. Given feeding to LOD, makes no sense to do it any other way.
I think they were probably linked to what was popular at the time with the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles calling Splinter Master Splinter. So
maybe
Master Fuji.
Makes sense.
But yeah, next up we've got the Big Boss Man versus Mr. Perfect for the IC title. Good, overbooked, but good. I quite liked the whole storyline behind it. The Big Boss Man was just making his way through Bobby Heenan's team just to get to Mr. Perfect. That's how you put an IC title on a pedestal for me, is have that sort of storyline where someone's just chomping at the bit to try and get that shot at the title. So I quite liked the little build up for that one. But Jono, what was your view on it?
I think you did a good job in describing what happened and what made this match important or good. So well played with that. It was just it got a lot of people involved and it did its purpose. I think it was to get the Big Boss Man over. And even though he didn't win the belt, that certainly happened.
It was a decent match. It wasn't awe-inspiring or anything like that, but it was decent. I've been doing a little bit of research on the earlier WrestleManias for an upcoming video. And the Intercontinental title, this seems to happen very often. It's always a DQ or something where they seem to hold the Intercontinental title in very little regard at the early stages of Mania for some reason. But it served a purpose and it definitely got Big Boss Man over, which was good.
Yeah, a cheap win, should we say, from this side of things. Right, let's lead on to that. We've got Earthquake, physically and in the sense of the word, squashing Greg Valentine. Poor Greg. Not much of a build-up for this one. Just Jimmy Hart on the ringside being Jimmy Hart and Earthquake just being a big heel. Good match for a 3-minute one. Terrible match on a Mania card. But Adam, what was your view on this squash?
Yeah, it was one of the fillers, wasn't it? I believe that they had a little bit of twos and fro's before Mania, but nothing major. It was what it was. Valentine was pretty much over the hill by this point. So it was just to get Quake over.
It's a shame how far the Quake has fallen since, Royal Rumble. He was the main event in the last few pay-per-views. So, yeah, he's completely just gone downhill. He's big part player in this WrestleMania without any big match. That's a shame, but we'll be moving on to some sort of tag team soon.
Possibly. I think the whole story behind it would have been the Greg Valentine, Jimmy Hart side of things, wouldn't it? I think that would have been the most. I think that made the sense the most to focus on. But so from that squash match into an under a minute WrestleMania match, Legion of Doom versus Power and Glory, Paul Roma and Hercules. Apparently, Paul Roma didn't want to take the Doomsday device. Do not blame him. But Johnny, what's your view on this 1 minute match?
Yes, he definitely didn't want to take the Doomsday device because he did go into this match injured with a sore left arm, I believe. He had an elbow pad on that, you can see. Hercules also injured, had a groin injury, so that would be the reason why this match was kept so short. The other interesting fact is that we talked about now with the Battle Royal, the Tag Team Battle Royal. The Power and Glory eliminated LOD after being eliminated themselves, which was the reason for this match happening at WrestleMania. Served his purpose, got the Legion of Doom over as the top team, and he ended up taking the Doomsday device and got injured even more, I believe.
Yeah, he landed slightly funny, which you can see if you slow down the video. He lands kind of twisted on his side a little bit. He actually refused to take the Doomsday device ever again. So he definitely didn't like that one, because I think there was a UK event. It might have been the Battle Royal one in the UK, and he just went to them and just said, I don't want to take it. And to be fair to them, they were okay with that because they know that everyone feared it. It's not going to be a nice one to take. But it was what it was, and LOD were obviously going to be pushed for the stars, so it served a purpose again.
He took it very well, though, to be fair to him. He did a little flip in the air, which I like to see on the Doomsday device. I know the Dudley Boys did the Dudleyville device. I think where Bubba fell backwards when they did it, so it took a bit of the impact off. But he took it very well, this one, and did a little flip on there. But under a minute. Ouch. On there. So next we got Virgil versus Ted DiBiase. A blow-off for a relatively long feud where Virgil was sort of pushed around. Ended by count out. What do you guys think? That's all the information I've got on this match. I did watch it, but not much to really know apart from Roddy Piper. Adam, let's go to you on this one first.
The match was decent. I enjoyed the match. As a 30-odd-year-old man, the match disappoints me watching it back because they obviously had no faith whatsoever in Virgil during this match, which is why everything was about Rowdy Roddy Piper. I'm not a big Rowdy Roddy Piper fan, which I've said before, and he made the match all about him, or whoever booked the match made it all about him, but I would guess it was Piper more than anything. And he just took a bit of the shine off for me as a man now. As a kid, I enjoyed it, and you enjoyed Virgil getting his little one-up on $1 Million Man. But as an adult, I didn't enjoy it as much.
I'm going to come back with a 5-year-old Johnny sort of thing, what I took away from this one, and this one is a bit funny really, because when I was 5-year-old and I seen this match, I'm thinking, why is the $1 Million Man beating up that woman? That's really harsh, and it really, because of that, I thought Roddy Piper was a woman. That $1 Million Man over a lot more as a heel to me, so I was glad to see when Virgil could get a bit of retribution against him. And I always remember the end of the match with Virgil shouting at Piper, "Get up, get up!" Can't forget that one.
No, that's the match itself, count out victory. They didn't want to give someone, because DiBiase was on a higher upper mid card, wasn't he? Virgil was just making his way through, so don't want to give him a pinfall victory, but a count out and a nice little victory for Virgil always goes well. But
it went with the storyline as well, because they'd previously had a jobber beat $1 Million Man by count out because of Piper.
Yeah. Yes, we had Mountie up next against Tito Santana in essentially what's the co-main event, technically, looking at the match card. Not much of a storyline going into it, but Mountie, I think, back then, still good as a heel. John, let's cut to you. What's your view on this?
Just the second off last match does not make it a co-main event, Jamie. But it's nothing to it. It's very quick, and there's no. It's one of 14 matches on this card. Is that what we could talk about here? I quite like that. I like seeing as many people as possible on a pay-per-view, especially when I was a kid. I can sort of, go against it now with not seeing any sort of quality matches. But as a kid, I got to see a lot of characters in all in one go. So I quite like a short match now and again.
It is what it is. It's Tito Santana at WrestleMania getting beat like he always does. And yeah, Jacques Rougeau is a quality performer. Tito Santana is a quality performer. These two could have had a barn burner, but it was one of the fillers, unfortunately.
Yeah, I agree with the sentiment. You need to have these sort of matches. You want to have as many matches on your card as possible. It goes back to what Adam was saying about I used to love the Rumble because you get to see all the different personalities on the same night, basically. So, yeah, I completely agree. I as many as possible. The Attitude Era was quite the same. If you look back at some of the pay-per-views, then you get like an Acolytes match, which would be 2 minutes long, beating up some random people. So, Crash and Hardcore, for example. So, yeah, I like that sort of style of wrestling where you have an occasional jobber match thrown in just to get them on the card, really.
I quite disagree on the barn burner. I don't think Tito and Mountie were known too well as having that sort of match. And especially Tito, for me, I think he's massively overrated. Because I remember when I used to play on the computer games, I used to make movesets. And I was trying to research moves by Tito Santana. And he literally did no moves. It was just all, elbow drops to the leg or arm drags and did nothing. Strange one.
The fact that you've researched that, I'm not going to disagree with what you're saying, but I am going to go and research it myself because I thought Tito Santana was a brilliant wrestler. So I'm going to have to go back and have a look at some matches now.
Honestly, I did as well. And when I did go to research and have a look through some of his matches, I just thought, what have I been thinking all these years? It really wasn't too good. But I did love his WrestleMania 1 match.
Ariba. Right, let's move on to the main event then. Speaking of very, very good wrestling. Hogan versus Slaughter, middle of the Gulf War. Sergeant Slaughter, the Iraqi sympathizer, teams up with General Adnan and Colonel Mustafa. Just General Adnan, I think, is at ringside for this one, isn't he? Yeah. Against Hulk Hogan, with the America on his back, the red, white, and blue, apple pie, and all that sort of things. Adam, first memories of this match, and what watching it now, how does it compare to back then?
As a kid, this did nothing for me because I wasn't into Sergeant Slaughter at all. I'm still not into Sergeant Slaughter now, and not in a good heel heat way. It was nothing to me. And obviously not being American, I didn't feel that side of things either. And being a kid, I don't really care about war, so I didn't feel that side of things. So it did nothing for me. I mean, the match was okay. Slaughter was, when I've rewatched it, Slaughter was slightly better than I gave him credit for. I'll be honest, but it didn't invigorate any feelings whatsoever for me. So I didn't get into the match, and I didn't really enjoy it.
As a 5-year-old watching this, what I remember most was that crimson mask worn by Hulk Hogan throughout the match, and that put him on a pedestal for me, that I was able to come back from that. And also, it did make Slaughter look dangerous as well. And the boots that Slaughter wore with, the Iron Sheik type boots, those were kind of something that really stuck in my mind as well as being something that was potentially really dangerous in wrestling. So, I mean, I enjoyed it. And like you said, you're looking back on it, Slaughter did put in a pretty good performance in this one. And, it was what it was. It was designed to almost politically, really, to get the Americana pushed a lot throughout the USA. Got the belt back on Hogan, and there you have it. We're back to where we started.
It did a job, didn't it? I think the job on putting the belt back on Hogan, not ending the Gulf War. But I think it was sort of a nice little lift up for all the crowd, and watching Hogan have a pose down like we got at the Rumble. It was very fun to watch now as an adult, knowing all the history behind it and everything that sort of goes with it. But I think at the time, I completely agree with Adam. It wouldn't have done anything for me. I don't think I watched this match until I was maybe teens, early 20s, I'd say, when I first got my eyes on this. But yeah, I think just back then it wouldn't have meant anything to me because not American, so it didn't mean anything to us. But yeah, that's the sort of closing of the show. So any other tidbits for us? Any highlights for you guys?
I've got a tidbit on the match. Sergeant Slaughter was the first wrestler to make a WrestleMania debut as the champion after Hulk Hogan in WrestleMania 1, of course. So that was a bit interesting on that one.
It is interesting. I imagine it's been done. Has it been done since? Must have been done since.
Must have been, yeah. You've got to think so in this era, but you never know.
Well, according to Bruce Pritchard, this match could have been very different because Sergeant Slaughter wasn't the original plan by the sympathizer. Who was? Do we know?
Sheik Tugboat.
Tugboats, indeed. We could have had another kind of Shockmaster moment.
Sheik Master.
How do you think that would have gone?
I don't think it would have went as well. Certainly not that, but I think like once they got Slaughter under the wing, they knew they were going to go that way. So I think even since SummerSlam they knew that. So I don't know if that was just planned before last SummerSlam or not. It certainly would have been a strange one, but you could. I don't know. It's hard to tell.
I don't think he would have generated anywhere near the amount of heat that Slaughter did, because Slaughter was very good. His voice is just commanding, isn't it?
Yeah, he's got that stare as well and the chin sticking out.
Being is he ex-army? Well, sergeant, isn't he? So I think that adds to it, doesn't it? But the Sheik Master would have done a job, I imagine. Yeah.
Confirm that Sergeant Slaughter was never in the army. It was just it's all gimmick, wasn't it? I don't think that was.
He wore camouflage. It was called Sergeant. It's just assumed.
I think there was something recently. I can't remember exactly what it was, but there was some sort of outrage in that the fact that Sergeant Slaughter isn't actually a sergeant or something like that, and people were getting really about it.
You're gonna tell me Macho Man wasn't really macho now?
Oh, it was though.
Look, Red Rooster wasn't it a rooster? No. I believe that a second. But yeah, I think all in all, pay-per-view wise, WrestleMania 7, it did what it was supposed to do. It put people on the card, which you wouldn't really see because they wouldn't really get that much exposure on there. And also it set the world to rights, didn't it, on there. So lovely. We discussed before that we could be looking, this was 30 years ago. So let's have a look at 20 years ago on the next episode. A bit of a highlight for that one. WrestleMania 17 is going to be coming up on our next episode. So look forward to that one, guys. But apart from that, WrestleMania 7 is in the bag. And we'll be back very soon with some retro review. Retro review time now. We'll be looking at the Mattel Legends series, Series 2. We're looking at now. So, Johnny, let's fire across to you.
Yeah, as always, we'll start with a little bit of an update. We put the votes to the listeners and the guys from the Wrestling Figures Collectors group on Facebook. So we're trying something different a bit there. And with the results calculated, we've got both the Road Warriors at 1 and 2. So Hawks at 1 and Animals number 2. The viewers thought Animal was better, but we thought Hawk was better. So it kind of felt that way. It's quite a surprise for me. I thought Dusty might have been number 1 after the first week, but he's instead number 3. Stone Cold at 4, Rick Steamboat 5, and Sergeant Slaughter 6. So I've got ourselves started, and it's about right. I think I can't really fault it.
Yeah, thanks to the guys, obviously over on the Facebook page there. One of the guys had a very, very detailed breakdown of the figures, which we really appreciate. Really good to see. So it's obviously some of you guys did very mixed scores on there. So it's good to see everyone's perspective from there and what they like to see from the figures. So it's always interesting to have a look. And yeah, feel free to hit us up with some scores for these ones as well.
Yes, we shall crack on with Series 2 then, and start as always with the alphabetical order, and we'll go first to the Iron Sheik. Now, Iron Sheik is. Oh, Adam's got it. Talk us through it, Adam.
It's lovely. It's an Iron Sheik figure. His face is absolutely perfect. You might say could have given him an expression, but for me, no. He's looking a bit stern at somebody, which is what Iron Sheik did. The choice of attire makes sense because he's already been released in the white in a tag team match. So it's the black and red for the attire. The boots are brilliant. The trousers are short, so detailed, with Iran on the side and obviously all of the henna type patterns on it. Body wise, it's exactly what Iron Sheik looked like for me. A little bit podge, but with a decent amount of muscle to go with it. It's an absolutely fantastic figure.
Yes, I can't disagree with any of that. I think it's very well done. Very much detail and perfect to pick this attire rather than one that's just have the trunk. So it got a lot of deco hits on there. Stocky / muscly build, which is kind of what it was. Some great detail even on the boots as well, with the camels on the side and the pointed studs, as we talked about with Sergeant Slaughter last time. Yeah, really good. What a way to kick off Series 2.
Yeah, very good on the whole. Also, I did. I own any of these figures, so I had to do a bit of extensive research on them. I looked at some pictures. Anyway, but yeah, very good figure. I completely agree with the pair of you. I don't think they could have done anything else with it. Attire-wise, really, really good choice. The colours on there seem to pop looking at the images. I don't know how they look live, but I think the colour combination works well. I've asked the Gok one it. Yeah, I think really, really good figure. What else can I do with a Sheik? This. Brilliant.
This is the epitome of the Iron Sheik that would probably not, and we've seen they haven't done a better one yet. Could maybe argue there's a better face coming later on, but yeah, as an attire and things, really, really great.
Shall I kick us off with some scores?
Go ahead.
I've gone generous, I think. 9.2 I went with on this one. Only deduction I made, you guys might pick this apart, but I think I was looking for a little bit more, something on the coat maybe, but I don't think he overly wore that, but just maybe a little bit of a symbol or something on there. So that was the only thing that I could find at fault with the figure, really.
Fair enough.
So I've gone for exactly the same score, 9.2. The only deduction I've made is I don't like how the headdresses sit on these figures. I find myself having to blue tack it to make it look really good. So yeah, that's my only gripe against this figure, 9.2.
Mine's on pretty sturdy. I'm not sure if I've even blue tacked it in the past. I might try and pop it off to see. It really won't come off.
You're going to prove me wrong there.
I've got blue tack on.
There we go.
Absolutely correct. And I've went just one below. It's 9.1. So that was my score.
Lovely stuff. Good figure. What's up next? It's a hot start.
Seen him in WrestleMania 7. It's Jake Roberts. This time in his heel version, which came later on in 1991. Has the black tights with the fire symbols, and with his new snake, which is always a bit evil. If you want to talk about 5-year-old, 6-year-old Johnny, another one I was absolutely petrified of was this snake in the Macho segment.
You're scared of the Goosebumps books as well, Johnny, was you?
Yeah.
This Jake the Snake Roberts for me is the best Jake the Snake Roberts, I think. Heel wise, I really liked the heel personality of Jake. Was this the sort of time when he bit Macho with the snake? That's right, isn't it, with the Cobra? Because it's on the Dark Side episode, and he used to smack the snake around, and really good. But yeah, I think attire wise for the figure, really, really good. Again, the colours really pop on there. I mean, did it come with a bag? This one?
No bag with this one.
No.
Oh, I mean, I couldn't see an image with the bag. That's why I thought else. That's the downside to me. I used to like Jake the Snake with his bag, but yeah, I think a really good figure all in all. What else we do with the Jake? Really, 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 really nice.
it's the best looking Jake Roberts from the waist down, for definite for me. Nice little details on the boots with the pattern. And like Jamie says, it just pops. I like the fact that the snake is different to all the other thick snakes that they keep releasing, which is a plus point for it. The only thing I dislike on this one is I think the head is too long. It's really, I mean, I don't have this one in front of me, but I have owned it. I think the head for me is just too long and thin.
It's kind of the way Jake Roberts looked, I think, in my opinion. But there is, it's identifiable, but there is something about it that I can't put my finger on. Body works well. It's quite lanky and tall. I think all these guys in the initial series have got really well done body parts and that sort of thing, because they'll probably be more likely designed especially for them. Great decor, accessories. As I say, it's only one snake. Could have done with a bag or just something else, just to give it that, a bit extra. And yeah, it's an interesting attire and not a common one. I don't think Jack's ever did this one, so it's a good way to start off.
It's quite interesting to say that it's missing, so you can't put something on. Because I had the same thoughts that you could see it was a Jake the Snake. There was something about it. I think it didn't look dirty enough. Do you know what I mean? You look at Jake and he's always looks a bit greasy when he was a heel, or a bit, with a word about slating him, but it looks a bit like just out the shower basically. I think this looks a bit too clean for Jake the Snake Roberts around this time. I think that would be the only thing that would set it apart from the others, really.
Could have had a bit of an evil smirk or something.
Yeah, something a bit heelish about it.
I think also it's probably because this same head was used on the next 5 or 6 figures by Jake as well. So kind of after a while.
Universal one. Lovely. Who's kicking us off then?
Kick us off on the story on this one if you want.
Go on then.
So yeah, it's the head for me. The figure's beautiful, but the head lets it down. 8.2.
Well, pretty high score.
Yeah.
I went for 7.5.
Oh, I went in the middle, 7.8 of the two of you. Once again, I think, really, really good figure. It's just the lack of heelish head, should we say, lack of dirtiness about it, just knocks it down a little bit.
Yeah, and another one from WrestleMania 7, we will move on, is Jimmy Snucker. Anyone have this one? Adam does, holding it in front. So I'll let you run with this one then.
There's definitely really good detail on this one. In the trousers, you can see they're all kind of tiger print and separate coloration on the bottom. The boots have even got your black rim on the top of the boots, your soft material, and it's made like it was because it the face is doing the expression that he did. And the skin tone is done perfectly for me, very different to any other figure. I've never been a fan of this figure, but I can't really tell you why. I think it might just be because I don't like Jimmy Snucker. But the figure is done well for what it is. It's just not appealing to me, personally.
Why it's not appealing is the big one. It's not his traditional attire. Why on earth did they do Jimmy Snucker in pants? I can't even find very many picture references of him actually wearing tight wear in wrestling. It was such a strange choice, and a one that I think they were going to regret, because they're never ever going to make a new one with all the allegations coming to light once again a few years after this was released. So yeah, I think the face was actually pretty disappointing as well. That it didn't really look like him. I know it was doing the expression that he makes with the woo woo. So I can't do it. I shouldn't have done that. As I said, the big thing got it doing the body. It looks right for him. It's quite muscular, and the skin tone's spot on, as we might not see later on from some of the releases by Mattel. Yeah, and the jacket is a bit baggy. Not even a very good accessory, and maybe should have come with a headband as well.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think attire choice-wise is very strange. I don't hate the trousers. It's just not really right for him. I mean, the blending's really good on them. I think it's got good blending on the trousers, personally. But Yeah, I just think why not just put him in pants, put him in his trunks? It doesn't make any sense. Yeah, face wise as well, it's doing a facial expression, but just don't give me that. Just give me a Jimmy Snucker doing a normal face. Thank you very much. Very strange.
I don't think the face is that bad. I think it looks like the kind of younger Jimmy Snucker. Don't think it's that bad.
I mean, is it depicting a younger version? Because I don't remember him wearing the tights until the 90s, possibly even after the match with the Undertaker. You know, so
you could be right. I'm not a Jimmy Snucker fan, so I couldn't even tell you what he wore in what matches and stuff. I don't have a clue. So I've just kind of looked at it in a kind of figure purpose, if you know what I mean, just how it looks to me.
Yeah, it's not bad. The design on the tights, but I can't forgive it. I can't forgive that it's not in the trunk. So for me, that's a 5.5.
Wow.
Superflyer Jimmy 6. I went with 6 out of 10.
Definitely been more generous than you two, and I went 7.2.
Yeah, for me, it's just the face. I think. I just don't understand why they've gone for the facial expression. It doesn't make any sense to me. Just give me a normal face, and once again, the trunks just the whole thing of it didn't make sense. So, hence the low score.
And I'm just never getting over the attire choice. I just kind of
Coat's nice though.
Never getting that iconic Jimmy Snucker number form now. So,
yeah, coat's nice. You want to make a Pat Butcher custom, and the coat would come in handy, wouldn't it? But...
Random Jimmy. Let's move on. I'm guessing one of you guys must have this one. Yes, there he is.
No, I don't. Kamala, I really like the accessories for it. I think that's the first thing I'll point out is the accessories. What more could you want from a Kamala figure with a lovely shield and a mask on as well? What the Hasbro is missing, and the moon belly as well. Let's just touch on that. Yeah, apart from that, it's just a good figure for a figure that could have been bland. They've definitely gone the other way and put a bit of effort into it, which I'd like to see.
In my notes, I've wrote the word perfect 3 times. Feel the face is perfect. As you say, Adam's got that out, and it's got a bizarre sort of confused look on his face, which captures the expression very well. The body, there's a deco and stuff, like you said, the moon belly, after not really doing it on the Hasbro, that's a welcome change. The skin color is perfect. Deco, accurate, can't fault it. And what is really good is the soft goods, and you've actually got 4 pieces of what I consider an accessory in the shield, the mask, the bow necklace, and the sarong, or whatever you want to call it, the skirt. So yeah, I'm really, really happy with that one. The only disappointment is that it was re-released later on, which devalued it an awful lot.
Yeah, I was going to say I've no idea which one this is because they're exactly the same, aren't they?
Yeah, there's no difference whatsoever. I think I looked at them both before because I had them at one point and I couldn't find any difference. I'm sure there's very, very small difference somewhere on it, but I couldn't figure out where it was.
No, me either.
But yeah, perfect is probably a really good word for it. There's a picture on the background. I think when I looked at the figure online of Kamala with the attire that they depicted, and it's spot on. The facial expression that they make on the figure exactly matches the one he's making in the picture. The one made in pretty much every picture. So yeah, really, really good that they've done that and put the effort into this figure, which is good to see.
There's definitely effort being put in, which is why it's got my highest rating so far of 9.3.
So I would have preferred a nice star on the belt. No, I'm only joking. I think this is a really good figure. The only thing that knocks it down for me is I don't like the fact that the skirt thing is attached in the waist. I just don't like that. It would have been better for me if it was removable or something like that. I gave it an 8.8.
So I had the pretty much exact same notes. I think to get it off, you have to tear it off. Is that right? Or it doesn't detach off, does it? So that was the only downside for me. So I've given it a 9, a straight 9.
I didn't realize it never tore off, but I don't know why that's a bad thing because it wasn't as if he ever wrestled without it. So yeah, I can't understand why you think that one. Guys, get your scores again, because I was,
Pervin. That
brought up this
8.8 for me.
was a
Yeah,
9 from me.
points out.
And the only reason I mentioned the tear off thing is because if you're playing with it as a kid and that comes off, you can't then get that back on.
Also, like you're gonna, I don't know what you have to do. You might have to take the whole.
Don't do it because
I think it's you're gonna have to take the torso off, and we know you have to crack a body to do that. Otherwise, it's not coming off unless it rips. Which
I'm giving him a 9. I've been nice enough.
I'm just coming on this point that we've made.
What was your score?
Mine was 9.3.
No, it's only 3 more than mine, so on the terrace, so it's still a generous score. It's just I'm saying I'd like for it to have been detachable, just to have the option if you wish to turn Kamala heel and a bit of a customizer on there. I just want to have the option.
I can't see that as a negative at all.
It's not much of a negative, but it is still a downside.
It's not negative. It's positive.
I'm splitting hairs. Splitting hairs.
Let's move on.
Let's move on. Next, we've got Ravishing Rick Rude. This one is from SummerSlam, famously re-released as well. Which one have you got, Adam?
I've got the right one. Same as you.
Yeah. So yes, the first release. This one it's got like it's got white, yellow tights with the crimson red. I don't know how to describe the red. Whereas the re-release for the ring was more of a maroon purple. So if you want to know the difference, and I think that the face and head would add a bit sort of more colour to it, where this one's quite light brown hair. And yes, take it away, Adam. Let's know your thoughts.
Yeah, it's a really nice figure. If I'm going to be critical, I think it's got a bit of a pinhead on it. The head is really...
What, sorry? Oh, pinhead.
Pinhead.
Oh, it's a pinhead. Right, sorry.
Rick Rude ahead of his time with the internet meme troll face on his trunks. That's what I actually looked at it and thought it was at one point. It looks really like it. It's just a nice figure. The colours are really well chosen. It pops. The robe for me is his best robe that they've released with him. I really enjoy this robe. I just think the simplicity of it makes it really good. The face, he's doing his whole. They seem to have gone for the same one as Snucker. Jamie will probably have a problem with that. I don't know about the body. Is it the same body as any other figure? Because Rick Rude had a very unique body. And if this is the same as any other figure, that will devalue the points for me.
I couldn't name one. I would imagine this was designed specifically for him. Whether it's been used since on someone else is another matter.
Yeah, I can't picture one that defined, if that makes sense.
But that's good, because obviously sometimes I learn stuff while we're talking. And I thought if that's just a common body, it's going to devalue it for me. But it's good that it's not.
Doesn't matter. As you say, it looks like it.
Yeah, because his body is massively unique compared to probably anyone in the WWE, so the figure would need to represent that.
If you look at that and you say, oh, that's Ravishing Rick Rude's body, does it matter if it's being used on someone else?
I disagree.
What era is this from? I couldn't really find.
SummerSlam 1990. Cage match.
Right.
Which is what's missing from this. On the match, he has the Ultimate Warrior on his tights. Now, we kind of speculated amongst the figure community this might have been because Ultimate Warrior wasn't signed at the time.
Yeah.
The reason for the re-release and with the ring might have meant that they were going to put the Warrior on the tights. But unfortunately, they still never done that. So that was a shame. You're saying about the robe? Yeah, I agree. It's a good robe. The only problem is that they've re-released it, with the recent Rick Rude and the Chase. So the 3 figures with this same robe now, which is disappointing.
Are they all exactly the same?
Yeah.
Oh, maybe I'm thinking of the Jax one then.
Yeah. So obviously, but this is the first one released. It's probably more accurate to the event, which you can't fault really. I don't like the expression on the face because at the time, Rick Rude was playing a more serious character and he wasn't really going for, the womanizer bit. He was more serious. He was going to get that title. He was training in the gym like a mentalist. So there need to be a more serious face on this version of Rude. It's fine with them having, the longer hair version, having that expression. It doesn't work with this era. The body is perfect, as you said. It's a good deco on the front. It's just missing from the back, unfortunately. But it's good all around, I think.
I think the head makes a good sort of attitude era Rick Rude, doesn't it? Custom. But
if it didn't have the expression, because Rick Rude in the Attitude Era or WCW was very serious.
Yeah, even had expression. Yeah.
And ruins that, unfortunately.
But yeah, expression-wise, I mean, I sort of like it and I hate it. I like it for the reason that that's what Rick Rude is to me, but I hate it because it's the wrong Rick Rude. So unlike the Snooker one. Colours-wise, I really like the colours on there. Not as colourful as some of the Rick Rude ones that they could have done, but I still like it. The yellow and red or maroon, whatever you want to call it, still pops at the end of the day. Coat-wise, as you said, we're going back to 2011 or whenever these were released. It's still a good Rick Rude figure, so I'm basing my score off that, not off the re-releases and so on, which we've come accustomed to. So, but yeah, all in all, I still think it's a good figure. I like Rick Rude. I've always been a big fan of Rick Rude, and the figure-wise, it's not too far off what he looked like, I think.
Go on, then, give us your score.
My score for that figure is 8.4. Ravishing as it is.
Bloody hell. Okay.
I originally had it as an 8, but I've learned things in this discussion that definitely makes it lose points. Things that I didn't know, so I'm going to go down to a 7.4.
I was doing the face then. I was doing Rick's face.
Nowhere near as generous as you guys in 6.3, and it's just missing too much. It needs the serious face, and it needs the warrior on the back for the design. Got to be critical of these things.
You do.
Fine. Let's start off with Terry Funk. And you, Adam, had this one. I think I've seen him with it before. Thoughts?
It looks. Oh, go on, Jamie.
Oh no, yeah. Sorry, I thought it was my turn. Yeah, I think first of all, I'm guessing it's very early Terry Funk. Looking at the fact that it's not got grey hair. Not the sort of Terry Funk I'm familiar with. I'm more used to the sort of ECW Chainsaw Charlie era, WWF '98 sort of era. But yeah, I can see it. I can see looking at it. It looks a very good figure. So yeah, that's what I based it on. Is that. But no other tidbits for this one, unfortunately.
It's another one with 4 accessories and the hat, the 2 bits of the poncho and the chaps and the cattle prod stick. So put a lot of detail into the accessories because he doesn't have too much deco, which is accurate at the time. It was portraying this sort of character in about 1985. WWF had a match against Hulk Hogan in Saturday Night Main Event, I believe, which is where this one's from. My main takeaway is that if they didn't do this attire at this point, they would never have come back to it. So I'm pleased to have got it when we did.
Yeah, I know what you mean about that. It just wouldn't be released nowadays. I think it's one of those underrated figures, purely because, like Jamie says, a lot of people don't recognise him from this era. But I'm a mid-80s fan, so I definitely do. He had a match at Mania as well, a tag team match, I believe. I don't like this attire. I think it creases and folds and curls up, and it's not the best. I like the chaps. The fact that they've got things to attach it to the leg as well means it keeps looking reasonable on display. Obviously, you've got the branding iron. I can't guarantee whether this is the exact one that he had or whether he had one with an actual brand on the front of it. I love the hat. The hat's one of my favourite hats. I think the face is not Terry Funk. You can recognise him, but it's a bit deformed, and I've had 2 or 3 of these and they've all looked the same. So for me, it's not fantastic, the face. Body wise, it's okay. I couldn't really tell you the sculpt of Terry Funk's body back then, to be honest. So it seems all right to me. It's okay. It does what it does on the tin.
Yeah, as you're saying about you're not sure if it was the right accessory, the one that came as the Elite with the ECW sort of representation had a black bit that didn't bother painting the end of it. So yeah, that is the correct one. I can see Terry Funk in the face. I think it depicts him quite well, actually, especially in that era. I think I've already bigged it up enough. I like this one.
Who's going to kick us off with some funkin' scores?
I will if you want. So the figure's nice. I don't like the face. I think it's pulling a bad expression as well. So that lost its marks for me, and it got an 8.
Good. Jimmy.
Yeah, in the same ballpark. I couldn't really find a fault on it. So the actual figure itself doesn't bring anything back to me nostalgia-wise, but we're not basing it off that. We're basing it off the figure itself. So, yeah, it's an 8.2 for me.
Well, just Adam's directly in the middle. I've gone 7.8. I do really like it, but I can see there's some sort of, it's a little bland underneath the accessories. But, yeah, very good. It's a good score for me, considering what I've been given to other figures in this line. But there is a reason for that. I'm going to have to base it upon what I think is a 10 and then go down appropriately for that.
Yeah, certainly. Right, so that's Series 2 in the bag. Series 3 next time. So, yeah, head over to our Facebook and head over to the Wrestling Figure Collections page. And, we'll give us your scores. Let us know what you think in the comments on there. Right, so, back from our popular opinions to our not so popular opinions. We're back in a second with some unpopular opinions. Unpopular opinions time now, our newest segment, and we'll fire straight across to Jono, who's going to let us know what his unpopular opinion is this week.
This week is very after my unpopular opinion because we have just seen the AEW Revolution pay-per-view, and everyone I spoke to pretty much confirmed to me that my opinion was unpopular, including you two. And I think that the announcement that they bigged up all week from what the Big Show had sort of promised lived up to expectations. Christian was absolutely fine. He was a Hall of Fame level performer. He will, generate a lot of interest for AEW. Can't remember the exact word, and I probably should have wrote that down just to emphasize my point, and was not unhappy to see him. I think it's going to make some interesting TV and go on that one last run, and I'm happy for him. Now, everyone I've spoke to online, including you two, have said how disappointed they were. And I mean, I'll let you guys respond before I sort of say why I think everyone's responded like this.
So I'm going to kick us straight off. What a great choice for an unpopular opinion. First of all, well done on this one. I am a massive Christian fan. Christian is in my top 10 wrestlers of all time. So let's get that out of the bag first of all. I was a massive peep. I loved everything to do with him. When everyone else was bigging Edge up, I was the Christian person. I loved him. But my reasoning for not liking this announcement, I'm going to completely agree with you that it did everything it said on the tin. They announced that it was a Hall of Fame worthy person which would be appearing. Did that happen? Yes, it did. So you are right there that, they delivered on what they said. My reason for not liking this isn't that I didn't want to see Christian. It's that I can see it going down the WCW route. I can see them getting the old people in that haven't got much left in them. Like Big Show, like Christian. I'm sure there'll end up being more. And I just thought it was very underwhelming because of that. I would have liked to see, I know, Jono, that you're not a big indie fan, you're not a big Japan fan. I spoke about Okada before it, and I know you've said before that you don't know much about him, but I think that would have been like everyone would have been like, well, I say everyone, not you, but a higher percentage of people would have been like, oh my gosh, they've got him. Whereas Christian, it's, well, they've given him a bit of money and has decided to come back. It's not an, oh my gosh, they've got him moment for me. So I can see it going down the WCW route where they're getting all the old people in, they're getting a massive payday, they're not delivering to the fans as much as the fans would have wanted a full-time regular wrestler to do. And that's why I disagree that it was the right move for them. I do not disagree that they went against what they said. It was just the wrong move for them.
Yeah,
Okay.
Can I just start by saying that I had a letter through the door this morning from Jehovah's Witnesses, and it was only the second worst experience of Christians I've had this week. I'll just point that out. Yeah, so going off what Adam's saying there, right? If you're AEW and you're a startup company, and you get someone that's on the rise, or you get someone that's the top of their game at the moment, and you're still relatively small, you're still relatively green in the business, that's going to make waves. That's going to be huge in the spectrum side of things. You're like, oh God, they must have some plans in the future that they've revealed to the superstars and they can come over. If you sign someone that's essentially over the hill, it's a very different thing. If CM Punk debuted, for example, I don't think we'll be getting this. I'm not saying I prefer it, but I'm saying that we'll be getting the managed to convince him to come over. The person that's incredibly hard-headed, they managed to get him to come over. The fact they got Christian, it's just a bit. It is Hall of Fame worthy, so they've done their bit, but it's just a bit underwhelming for me. I think I overhyped it too much in my own head. I think that's what the issue more than likely would have been. It's just internet speculation of being, oh, it's this person, oh, it's this person, just then put a damper on it. I think that's probably where all this is coming from. But I think if Christian didn't appear at the Rumble, it would have been bigger things, but just very, very meh for me.
What you just said is the exact reason why everyone's so disappointed, is that they put themselves, or they put their expectations on the level of CM Punk, which obviously you can't really argue he's the best or biggest free agent going today. And if even WWE got him back, that would be the major breaking news of the year, really. But we knew it wasn't going to be him, or at least we kind of knew in our own heads, apart from you guys who decide to think, oh, it has to be Brock, it has to be CM Punk. It never was going to be. And other than those two names, I can't think of a better person. And you also said the words over the hill, or not going to be a full-time performer. Who says that's the true? Christian, his new slogan is outworks everyone. So that means that if he's got that slogan, he's going to have to keep having matches every week. He must be in good shape. He must feel himself that he's capable of doing this. And I think it was a case where WWE weren't prepared to do that for him, and AEW were. So here we go. And you say Adam isn't in your top 10. He doesn't even come close to my top 20. Now I'm the one defending him.
Yeah, I agree with the sense of like if he wants to come back and he wants to get that buzz and wants to be a weekly performer and mix it in with the younger guys, it's a great signing for him in that case, because he's going to teach the younger guys a lot of things. So I completely agree with that. It's just, I think the hype of this, I think they set themselves up to fail a bit. They knew that the internet was going to blow up on this. They knew that the speculation would have started, and they knew that everyone would have gone straight for the top guys. So I think they did it on purpose, a bit of speculation for it. I think if they just didn't announce it and just had Christian come out, that would have been better for me. But yeah, that's just my opinion.
I think Jamie's definitely right in the point that if Christian hadn't have been in the Rumble and he hadn't have had that little skit with Randy Orton at the end of last year or whenever it was, it would have made more of an impact for definite. Because the viewers had recently seen Christian, which always lessens it a little bit. I can't 100% prove what I'm about to say, but I'm pretty sure I've read interviews with Christian over the past 2-3 years where he said, I'm not coming back, I don't have it in me anymore, basically. Not to those exact words. And now, all of a sudden, he's got a big payday, and he's now saying, oh, I want a more regular wrestling experience from AEW. I just don't believe it. I don't believe that he's got everything in him that he had. But we'll see. I hope I'm wrong.
I think that's a bit unfair to say that he doesn't have it in him, or he doesn't believe it himself, and he's only doing it for the payday. Because I think you told me to go watch the 24 documentary on the Royal Rumble, and it heavily featured Christian and Edge. And Christian was saying, I feel in excellent shape. I've been training. I'm ready to go. And as you say, he didn't embarrass himself. He did very well in the match.
Yeah, but you're talking about a time that Christian obviously was now in the mind frame of looking for a contract. So of course he's going to say that.
Oh yeah, things can change. I don't disagree that he might have said that in the past. He might have been out of shape. He might have lost the passion for it. But you can always get back in shape. You always get the passion again. And I don't think he's there just for the payday. I think he's there to prove something. Prove that WWE was wrong not to take him on in a full-time sense, and other than outside that Royal Rumble appearance, which in a way, I know you both said it, is that this took him appearing in the Royal Rumble took away from the debut. In a way, I was more surprised to see him on AEW because he was in the Rumble. I thought he was going to do something with WWE going forward.
I'd say, first of all, off the bat, that Edge coming back would have sparked something under Christian. I think the reaction that Edge got, and also the feelings that people would have thought towards that, and I think that would have then sparked Christian to get back into shape and get a desire for it again. Just seeing, obviously, his best mate get that reaction and get back into the thing he was supposed to be doing. So I think that probably would have sparked it off, and having that sort of, what's the word I'm looking for, that grit to come back into the business. So that would have lit something underneath him. But I just think, which is very bland for me. I've never really been a massive Christian fan. I was when he was paired with Jericho in 2003 and when he was with Edge as well. But for me, he's always just been a good tag team wrestler, personally.
Yeah, I understand what you're saying.
But Jericho's in AEW, so lovely.
True.
Reform that. Maybe they'll get Shawn Michaels in there as well and rekindle that relationship.
I mean, like you said, Christian himself, I believe, said that in the documentary that what Edge did last year inspired him to do it this year. So, yeah, absolutely.
I haven't watched it, yeah.
I've got my fingers crossed, and I hope I see him every single week in AEW, but I don't believe I will.
I think the outwork everyone means it's going to be on AEW Dark Elevation, AEW Dark. It's going to be on Dynamite. It's going to be on the Hills program of Brandy Rhodes. It's going to everywhere.
Well, he's got to live up to that expectation now, and the only way he's going to do that is have matches every week. So we'll have to see where that goes.
But it's going to do wonders for the young guys in there. Darby Allin, for example, Orange Cassidy, those sort of guys that will get tips and so on off Christian to be more of a sort of a comedy actor. But
in reality, he wasn't happy with the amount of figures that Mattel have made of him. So he can see what's happening with Cody. He's in there for the figures.
In one way or another, he is in there for the figures, yeah.
Why not? Let's have a Christian Cage from Jazzwares then.
Lovely. Cage Page, and let's have some rage. So yeah, unpopular opinion, I completely agree. It is an unpopular opinion. I don't agree with the fact that it was a welcomed thing, but as I said, it's the thing with Christian. He's so Marmite, but he pretty much is, isn't he?
He's clearly polarizing.
Whatever that means.
You don't understand what polarizing means.
So it's over camera. I don't know. In Cornwall, we don't learn these things. We learn how to mow a lawn, make a pasty.
I think this segment's gone about 15 seconds too long.
Yeah, lovely stuff. Right, that's a popular opinion. Yeah, cool. So that's it for the episode. So yeah, keep an eye on obviously the Facebook page. Subscribe to our YouTube and to our podcasts as well on Podbean, Apple, wherever you get your podcasts. Leave us a review as well, and we'll see you next week for WrestleMania 17, the next episode.
Yeah, just leave us a message. Just come on to our YouTube pages, our Facebook pages. Just give us any comments you want about the episode, what you just listened to, what you agree with, what you don't. Just get in contact. We would love to hear from you. What we could do better, what's not working, that sort of thing. Please let us know.
You sound like a lonely old man. Get in contact with me. So lonely up here. All right, yeah, we'll see you guys soon. All the best.
The 3 points of articulation.